live.
And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, gamers across the world. Welcome to PM in the PM. That's right. Pong and Mav. This way. I always forget which one. Pong and Mav in the PM. That's right. March the 3rd, 2022. We are in March already. The world has gone crazy, but we're just all tarnished right now. And we're just living in this crazy world, trying to defeat golden knights on horses, gigantic dragons. Man, we have brought in 2022 with a generational type game that has taken over the world, but we are going to talk about that. But first things first, of course, I am Pong Soul, one of your hosts, the man with the lead chair, but my brother from another. Fun speculation. I'm delaying my speech right now so he can finish his chicken nuggets. This man is coming in hot tonight.
I just ate the last one.
He is done with his chicken nuggets and we can continue with the show. He came in hot, long day at work. He's got more to do. Look, real life is kicking both of our butts. But Mav, good to see you, brother. I have not talked to you in quite a while. I was not on Xbox Factor podcast. I know you were on there for a short time this week, so I have not spoken to you at all, man. You've been busy. I've been busy. What you been doing? Anything fun? I already kind of know the answer, but what's going on, man? How you doing?
I've been able to play a little bit of games, but I've been working a lot this past few weeks, and it's going to continue for a while. So just trying to adjust that schedule and stuff, but like also, man, there's so many games I want to play. It's crazy. Like I'm like going crazy to get into more Elden Ring and more of all these things, and then trying to find the time to do so. So maybe this weekend at night, be some game streams coming your way and stuff, guys. But man, just been busy, dude. Just been really busy. It's been interesting, kind of a shift with business and stuff. So things have changed a little bit with scheduling and stuff. So it's making it kind of hard for me to be like I put a tweet out last night because I started to feel bad. I'm not able to be in a lot of the like chats for like a lot of the podcasts and stuff that I like watching and stuff and all these things. And I'm trying to make a concerted effort to make sure that we get our content out there for everybody and have fun and still do everything that we want to do with this channel. So it's been a lot of fun though, being busy, right? So it's not like I'm complaining. I've been enjoying that, right? It's nice for a change the last couple of years, So, but yeah, man. Just other than that, just living life.
Good.
Paying bills, playing games when I can, and that's it. Dude, some amazing freaking games though, dude. Like
Adulthood.
Golden Age. I saw Dealer posted a tweet earlier.
Yeah,
Golden Age of gaming, dude. That's like
funny was just on RDX, and he said that right after I said, yeah, funny that tagline is catching on more and more. Yeah, so dude. Something that you and I talked about long before, and something obviously that I've made my tagline. But yeah, funny how the community is kind of picking up on it.
Because it's true, it's literally true. And I made a tweet last night about like, what's the best era, a decade in gaming? Like 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and this era, is this decade going to be the best? And right. My answer, and surprisingly a lot of people's answers on that tweet, was that they're acknowledging that this next decade may be the best we've ever experienced in gaming, right? And it's hard to say when you have so much nostalgia over the 80s and the 90s and all that stuff, right? It's hard to admit that, but it's if you're being real with ourselves, this is it. I mean, we're coming up on the best times we've ever had with games, and it's only getting started. What have you been up to, dude?
Much, man. About the same as you. Like you said, man, I haven't been on social media and chats as much. I still try, but again, work is work. So again, yeah. I'm not complaining either. I'm happy to have a job. I'm happy things are kind of picking up a little bit and kind of getting back to pre-pandemic. We're not even close yet, but at least I can see signs. But again, other than that, taking the time that I do have to play and NBA 2K22, obviously new season. Yeah. So I've been rocking out on that. Got my team really looking good, having a great time in domination, and killing some AI. Let's put it that way, right? So I have a great time there. But other than that, man, Elden Ring. Look, we're going to talk about it here. Elden Ring is a force to be reckoned with. This is something that came out of the blue, but for me, you know, this is the most enjoyment I've ever had out of a Souls game. And again, I can honestly say at this point now, playing through it, exploring the world, not even close, right? I farmed a ton, so I'm level 62. But I've seen lots of the world because that's what I do. I go to places I should not be and run around and try to find things. But realistically, for the first open world game from Software, they nailed this.
Yeah.
The sense of, because that's the biggest thing I've said a million times in other shows when we talk about Elder Scrolls, when we talk about Starfield, we talk about Todd Howard and his A-team and what they do when they create these games, Fallouts. And the biggest thing to me is that sense of exploration, that sense of what's around the next corner, that sense of looking off in the distance and saying, hey, I got to find a way to get over to that mountain or to the other side of that mountain and see what's over there. And you go do it. And along the way, you find adventure and things shock and surprise you. And in this game, From Software has done that to the same level as Elder Scrolls. And that's, for me to say that, is saying like everything, right? That again, that's what makes Elder Scrolls so special to me. Now, would I put it on the same level? No, because I called it, I was on GBTB, Gaming Beyond the Box last night, and I said it's like a diet Skyrim with a twist of soul.
A diet Skyrim. Nice.
because it doesn't have all the characters, right?
Yeah, all the dialogue and all the
dialogue choices, characters, you know, that kind of stuff. It goes about it in a different way, but the world feels alive. Now, this world here, again, different from Skyrim, is that every single thing you come across is out to kill you, right? It's out to just murder you. Whereas in Skyrim, you're meeting other people, you're making friends, you got factions, you got all this other kind of stuff going on. And that's why I call it Diet Skyrim with a twist of souls, because that's exactly what this does here is, it doesn't have all of that, but what it does have is, again, the sense of discovery, the sense of exploration, the sense of wonder as you come across things. And again, I have always said that I loved From Software games. I watched people play them on YouTube, even though I personally couldn't do it. I watched it because I love the aesthetic. I love the art design. I love the creature design. I love the character design. And this one has not let me down in any way, shape, or form. There is always something new that you're coming across in the wildlife that you're like, what?
Yep.
In God's name is that? And do I even want to approach it?
Right.
Okay.
You want to poke the bear sometimes, quite literally, you know,
quite literally in that. Yeah. Don't poke the big bears. The little bears, okay. Don't poke those big bears.
I saw one scratching a tree, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I came across it after I had already like been through some fights, and I was like, going out towards trying to find the next grace area or whatever. And I saw one of those bears, and it's kind of like a guy led me to it. There's like this I don't know, hologram dude that like was making footsteps over towards it. And I was like, okay, he's going there, but I only have 2 flasks left, and I have out of my magic flask refill. And this is probably, if I die right here, I don't know where my closest grace area is going to be, and I don't, so I was like, avoided it then. But I'm very close to it now. So you're saying don't poke the bear yet, because I'm only
don't poke the bear, but you can sneak by them.
Right.
But you can sneak by them.
Okay.
So I snuck by those bears at a much lower level. So I did follow that same guy, brings you to a map. So I did go do that and get the map piece. Okay. So you can, but don't touch them. Don't go too close to them. But no. So for me, again, will it ever approach Skyrim Oblivion levels for me as far as greatest games of all time? Mm-hmm. No. Because it is missing some of the charm that Skyrim has, but it's got differences. Can I realistically say that this might wind up being one of my favorite worlds that I've ever experienced, even if, like a lot of games, most games that I play, I don't finish it at the end of the day? Yeah, this is an experience that has been worth the full price of admission, right? And for me, again, that was my biggest risk. This being the 5th time trying a From Software game. Am I just throwing away $60 again? Or is this going to be the one? Well, guess what? With the open world, I'm happy with my $60 purchase already. This has been well worth that experience. And I've only kind of scratched the surface. I've explored a lot, but man, again, I don't think there's some people who saying this is the biggest game scope wise that they've ever seen or experienced. I don't think I can say that it's bigger than Skyrim. It's close from going into the dungeons and that kind of stuff, but I still think Skyrim has it in terms of scope. But man, being a close second to Skyrim means a lot. Again, this is a company who has never done an open world game like this before. And for them to come out and have it set up the way they have it, very few glitches that I've come across. Man, they nailed it out of the park. Again, we could talk all day long and discuss and debate 97 if it's a 97 or not. Again, at the end of the day, I don't think it matters to Dark Souls players. This is going to be probably their greatest of all time game or in their top 3. I've already seen most people putting it up there that love Souls games. And for me, that's a 97 to them. That's all that matters at the end of the day. For me, I can definitely say I could project out. Again, I don't score games because I don't finish games. I give impressions. But if I had to project out, if I finish this game, I could definitely see it being in the low 90s for me. I could definitely see that. And that's a fantastic game. Skyrim, Metacritic, 93, right? Generational type game. Seen that argument too.
Yep.
That's something crazy. We're not going to get into that tonight, but man, there's been some crazy talk going on out there. But anyways, I'm way off track, having a great time, obviously with Elden Ring, having a blast. Again, it's crazy. This early in 2022, we getting something like this, and we could end the year with a Starfield, which has the potential to be another generational type game. 2022 could wind up being one of the greatest years of all time. Golden age of gaming, Mav, is here.
Yeah.
So, look, first of all, chat. I see you. I see all of you. Ali Turkman, Mr. Joanna Dark, Big Mad Mo, Siki, Geezer Prime, Andrew Cullinane, excuse me for stumbling there, Razor NZ, Fuzzy Belvedere, Jasper Gaming, Risk It for the Biscuit, Caitlin, beautiful, how you doing? Masshole, Jerrold Mack, brother, always good to see you. Tony Grasso, of course, showing up. Thank you. Shizno Elite, he is driving, so he said he will not be chatting, but Shizno, always great to see you, my friend. Have a safe drive. Outbreak Podcast, that's right. Outbreak Dave, good to see you, sir. Another fantastic interview with The Mag. So please go check out Outbreak Podcast too. He's got some great interviews rolling over there. Of course, brother Mike is in the house. We got the Dusky One. We've got, who else? We got Back from the Dead, brother. Awesome to see you. Who else is in here? Jigga J is in the house. The Fifth Horseman, V or 5, depending on how you go with that one. Good to see you. We got Black Hard in the house. We got, and I think I've got everybody. I don't think I missed anybody. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I
every
did.
time I think you did, like you did get it.
I've already did. Already. Vic the Click is in the house. Vic, good to see you, sir. I hope you're having a drink somewhere, or maybe you're working still.
Yeah, hey,
Depka,
Vic, nice wheels, man. Nice wheels, and I want to know what you ended up naming it. Vic got a new car.
What did he get?
I think it was like a fancy looking Honda of some kind.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ferrari.
No. It was white. It had like black rims and stuff, I think, on it. Like it was nice looking. It was nice looking.
Nice.
I don't remember what it was, Vic, but put it in the chat. It was sharp. I liked it.
Alvin is here too. Good to see you, Alvin. All right, so that's everything. Math. So it's been kind of a slow week. Again, I think even the higher ups at these companies, they've stopped doing deals because they're all playing Elden Ring at this point, except for Jim Ryan.
Yeah,
we know Jim is still calling people.
Just because of Elden Ring. They're too busy.
Too busy.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of a slow week, but we got a few topics to dive in here. Do you want to jump right into the Elden Ring stuff, or do you want to go with one of the smaller topics first?
Yeah,
what do you want to do, sir?
Yeah, I think we could go ahead and just keep the Elden Ring train rolling, and then move into something else after. Keep it fresh.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So if all of you have been spending a lot of time on Elden Ring and not on social media, maybe you missed just how gigantic Elden Ring is right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, we need to start putting this in perspective. If you guys remember pre-Elden Ring, if you can remember that, just a week ago, before Elden Ring showed up, right? From Software titles, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Sekiro, they were all considered niche, okay?
Yeah.
By a lot of people's standards. Now, I'm not going to say everybody agreed with that. There were some people who thought that they had kind of broken already out of that niche title. But for the majority, if you said Dark Souls, most people would say it was niche because it was definitely not for the masses. Okay. Let's put this into perspective. Okay. Couple things. Number one, I believe it was on, because we were on launch night and we got off to go play it. So we really haven't talked about this, but I believe it was Friday or Saturday. Maybe it was Monday. Benji Sales put out a tweet that on Steam, that Elden Ring was with concurrent players. They were at roughly like 180,000 concurrent players. That number was double every single other From Software's title combined.
Yeah.
For highest concurrent players. And that was like on a Friday combined.
Yeah.
Okay. Right there. And then I was like, whoa. Like, I was like, okay, we're on to something here. Let me throw some other numbers out here for you, okay? So, Miles then put out a tweet on, I believe it was Tuesday. Miles put out a tweet. He had done some digging into the Steam Spy, which is a website that kind of monitors Steam sales based upon individual user names, and they kind of compile it. It's not official, right? But it just shows individual usernames that have played certain games, so you can kind of get an idea of sales. Okay, it's not perfect. Again, it's not 100% accurate. But Miles put out a tweet that said some data from Steam Spy suggests that Elden Ring has sold more than 5 million copies on Steam alone.
Wow.
Wild to think. He goes, wild to think that my estimate of 5 million copies sold in the first week could end up very conservative. Estimated 5 million copies of Steam sold by Tuesday. Just on Steam. Nowhere else. Okay. This is insane. Nibel put out a tweet today. Famitsu, of course, Japanese, a big company over there. It's been in the video game industry. It's again, they're the most well-respected journalism done over in Japan for video games. They've been there since almost the beginning, or basically at the beginning of video games. Famitsu put out more stats. Elden Ring has sold 188,490 units on PS4 and 90,017 units on PS5 for a total of 278,507 during its first week. Now here, when we hear those numbers here or from Europe or wherever the case, they sound small.
Yeah.
Okay. Japan, that is huge. He goes on to say this is From Software's strongest first week of all time, if he's not mistaken. Okay. Again, Japanese numbers always seem small to us. In Japan, right? Exactly. They always seem small, but they're not. Then we had more gamesindustry.biz, great site to go to if you're into the hardcore side of video games and the business side of things. Go to gamesindustry.biz. They do a great, fantastic job over there. This is from Christopher Dring, who also posted this on Twitter this morning. Just real quick, Elden Ring is the biggest UK video game launch since Call of Duty Vanguard, according to the latest digital and physical data supplied by GSD. Its sales are 2.5 times that of last week's big new release, Horizon Forbidden West. In fact, it's the biggest game launch outside of the Call of Duty and FIFA franchises since Red Dead Redemption 2 in October of 2018.
Wow.
Its week one sales are bigger than Cyberpunk 2077 and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which delivered significant opening sales back in 2020. Now, before you go, Cyberpunk 2077, again, you forget because of all the slander that went on, all the issues that happened, it still sold 13 million copies day one.
Yeah.
Okay. So Cyberpunk 2077 had a huge launch despite all the issues because of pre-orders and stuff. This game beat all of them. Okay. Beat Valhalla, which we know was huge over there as well.
That's Valhalla's Ubisoft's first $1 billion game.
Correct. Then I'll give you some final numbers, and I'll get Mav's opinion on this, and we'll go to some other subjects on Elden Ring. But first of all, we're going to talk about these numbers here, these peer kind of numbers. Also, James Bartholomew on Twitter, he is a part of a team called ICO Partners, and they actually they monitor and analyze trends from articles online, how many articles certain things get, right? Because you can obviously tell if something's hot by the number of articles being written by that certain subject. And they do a lot of video game trending, and they actually did one and broke it all out. So game coverage during launch week, all right? And he did a nice graph with this as well. Ghost of Tsushima had 1,181 articles written about it during launch week. Okay. Right. Just to give you some perspective, that's the low end. Okay. Ghost of Tsushima had 1,181. Metroid Dread was 1,238. Returnal was 2,113. Monster Hunter Rise was 2,119. Forza Horizon 5 was 2,301. Deathloop 2,519. That's 2,519. The Last of Us Part 2, you'd think this thing would be gargantuan with how many people were talking about The Last of Us Part 2, right? 2,828 articles. Hitman 3, 3,122. Halo Infinite, 3,754 articles written. Cyberpunk 2077, again, we know the hype. We know all the problems that caused more articles to be written. 3,849, just above Halo Infinite. Resident Evil Village, 4,146. Horizon Forbidden West, all just nonstop talking about it, nonstop, just trailers, all that stuff. 4,559. Elden Ring. You ready for this? Elden Ring, the number of articles written about that game during launch week, 7,323 articles.
Wow. That's a lot of reach.
That's what you call a phenomenon.
Yeah.
So, Mav, thinking about all the big launches that you and I have seen, right? And we've seen things like this happen. We've been around during Halo Prime days.
Yeah.
We've been around during Call of Duty time. We've been around for Skyrim, Oblivion launches, Skyrim especially. Skyrim was the big one for them. Oblivion was big, but it wasn't as big because not as people knew about Elder Scrolls
launches.
GTA launches, right? We've been around this. Man, again, social media is different now, and it's so much more expansive, and we're always on here in Twitter and all this kind of stuff. So it's a different bubble that we see than we used to see when we were lining up at a game store, and all of a sudden you showed up and there was a line around the block for Call of Duty, and you were like, dang, it's definitely Call of Duty time, right? So it's different now when we see it. Everybody's buying digital. It's not that physical release anymore. But Mav, when you think about the past and you think about all the launches you've seen and all the new games come and go, these numbers here, I mean, where does Elden Ring for you kind of rank in all that? And I don't need a specific number. I'm just saying, just kind of in terms of overall perception, to see this thing kind of explode for you, what is your thinking on this when you're thinking back to everything you've seen compared to now? What does Elden Ring kind of tell you? What does all these numbers kind of mean to you?
Well, if I was to do a video game State of the Union address, I would say the video game industry is strong. I mean, holy cow. You know, and the other thing is, this is no longer a niche genre, right?
Yeah.
They have that's beyond niche now, right? They have taken this genre that has had this hardcore fan base, right? And with the open world formula, introduced it to the masses, right? With hype marketing for that lasted a long time. And the thing that's Cyberpunk had a lot of hype behind it too. But the thing about this one is there are some issues around the game right now, but it's not like it came out and was like all the issues that like Cyberpunk or one of those games had. So the hype at that point only grew as people started playing it and found to love it. And they start telling their friends and telling everybody like, hey, people like me who not a Souls guy, right? Get this game and be like, hey, if you're not a Souls guy, if you like this kind of game, I think you're gonna like it. And this word spreads and it everybody starts to get that FOMO, right? We know it. That FOMO is strong with gamers. It's like you don't want to miss out on the phenomenon. You don't want to miss out on the event. This is like an event right now that we're all taking part of with Elden Ring. This is Elden Ring launch time. And we know now, after these numbers and what we're seeing, without anything official yet, right? We're going to get those official numbers down the line. Somewhat. Digital is even harder, right? But we're going to get some kind of numbers and some kind of realization on this. This game has transcended things and done from software what a game like GTA 3 or GTA San Andreas or like a game like Red Dead Redemption or like a game like Call of Duty, right? It did for those companies. Like this game is going to launch from software to another stratosphere, right? Now From Software is going to have this game that's probably, sounds like it's easily over 10 million from what I'm gathering, right? And already, it's only going to grow because everybody's loving it. Everybody's having a great time. And it's just going to compound on itself. This is another aspect of the golden age of gaming. Like, we're in such a good place because games like a $60 game, like Elden Ring, it's the other part of this. We need to address the fact that games don't need to be $70, right? This game's been in development for how long? How many years now? 6 years, right?
Yeah.
And a huge title, next gen, current gen, all that stuff. I'm not charging $70 on next gen consoles. They didn't have to. None of the companies have to, right? They just can. They chose not to. I honestly think that actually has had a positive impact on the amount of sales that it's had. Right? Because if you have a $70 title, you maybe have people like, okay, that's just another little, I'm gonna wait, and see. But instead, people are like diving in. People are diving in. The word spreads. People get excited. People are liking it. I am freaking loving my time with Elden Ring. I haven't had enough time with it yet. I'm level 27. I'm probably like 8 hours into the game. I'm not like Jasper, who earlier put into our chat. He said, put just a little time in Elden Ring, only 49 hours. Jasper. And he's level 98 as of yesterday, probably over 100 now. Like it's absolutely crazy to see what this game has done. Now, it's had the hype, it's had people talking about it for years, but I think this is going to be one that goes down as a generational game, right? A game that everybody remembers from that generation as one of the major franchises, one of the major things to come out of it. And you got to think of from Software's perspective. I keep going back to this. Like, none of their games have sold anything like this, right?
Right.
What does this do for them?
Right.
What is it going to do for them? What are they going to be able to put into their next project, right?
Yep.
It's absolutely going to be amazing, and I'm super excited about it. I want to get to a couple of these super chats real quick too.
Yeah.
Outbreak Podcast earlier with the $2 super chat had said, "Thanks for the shout out, Pong and Mav. Up now to watch." Well, appreciate you, dude. Thanks, Dave. And also, Risk It for the Biscuit with a $3 super chat. I appreciate you as well, Risk It. I'm going to be on their show tomorrow before Xbox Ultimate, so it should be
a fun show.
A blast.
Fun
Yeah,
show.
It is a fun show.
It is.
He says, "How is there only 12 reviews for Xbox Series X Elden Ring. Yeah, it's crazy. Reviewers at From Software probably sent whatever marketing company they hired probably sent out PlayStation copies to all the reviewers out there.
PlayStation and PC. That's the focus for those games. Yep. Unfortunately.
So even games like Scarlet Nexus, which had Xbox marketing behind it.
Correct.
There's more PlayStation reviews out there than there is Xbox, and I'm thinking that a lot of times they may ask the reviewers, "What kind do you want? What code do you want?" And then in that Scarlet Nexus's case, that's probably what happened there, right? In this case, this seems more likelihood that that's just automatically what they sent out was the PlayStation copies and the PC copies, right? Yep. And then as far as Xbox copies reviews, you may see people that went out and got the games themselves, or had to specifically request one, maybe potentially something like that. So I think that's how that happens. But it is crazy. I mean, it's ridiculous, especially because it affects like the overall meta scores. You can't really translate that, like something that has over 100 reviews compared to something that has 12. Like the aggregate's not going to match up, you know.
It's some of that leftover from last gen.
Yeah,
it's some of the leftover stuff that's going to slowly but surely go away. I believe, but as we get more into this gen, as Xbox continues to push forward and catch up and take over mind share in some instances, I think then we'll start to see that even out a little bit more as Xbox becomes lead platform, maybe for more games than previous. We'll see more of those review codes go Xbox's way, because obviously now, back then, last gen, what drove your numbers on websites? It wasn't the Xbox, it was PlayStation. And that's just a simple fact. Yeah. PlayStation articles drove numbers. Xbox didn't have the engagement. And that's how those people get paid. Unfortunately, again, it's a big problem in the media right now. Get paid based on clicks. That's why we see false headlines. That's why we see, clickbait articles. That's why we see all this garbage. But I think for Xbox, as they win back the mind share, they will see more reviews for Xbox as we go forward. So
it also depends on the genres too.
Yes,
I see like a lot more of the Western RPGs and stuff like that get Xbox codes and PC codes. Japanese games, generally you're going to see PlayStation codes. That's just
correct.
How it is.
It's the homeland. Even though they're here now, it's the homeland. So that's the way it's going to be. But I think you made a great point bringing it back to our discussion here, man. I think you said, I said you use the perfect term, which is transcends.
Yeah.
Okay. We already saw this once last year, at the end of last year, right? Forza Horizon 5 transcended racing genre.
Yep.
More people, like your own wife, Caitlin, jumped into Forza that were non-racing fans, not necessarily car fans, jumped into Forza and had a good time.
She was playing the heck out of it yesterday, too. I mean, she was excited when the new content's ready to drop. She said she had to let me know, hey, spring is like coming on
the new season,
all this stuff, right? So it's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that title did that. And here we have another example where, like you said, man, this game has been hyped for a long time, but it's been hyped by the hardcore Souls fans, right? The From Software fans that have been waiting on this title. They kept the hype alive because this is what they wanted. They could not wait for a new Souls-like game from Software, all of it. So they kept that hype, and really they were the mainstays, right? And we all were like, a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us who either A, had tried Souls games, said they're not for us, or B, had never tried a Souls game just because we heard how hard they were, kind of were, sitting back and going, oh, it's cool. It's, it's looking good. It's definitely a From Software title, but we'll have to wait and see how it's going to come out. We were all on standby mode. And then it dropped, right? And then the reviews hit. And again, reviews overall, Metacritic does not influence me in any way, shape, or form. I had said months prior that this was going to be my final attempt at a Souls game long before reviews. I said it because they said open world. And I said, open world Souls, I will give it a try because I love open world games. But as you saw the reviews drop and people started getting their hands on this, you saw that ripple effect that is now in play every time a game comes out, whether good or bad. And Mav, you talked about it. FOMO is real. I no longer have FOMO. Are there times I still get it? Yeah, there are times I still get it. I did it with you while you were playing Hitman 3 live on stream.
Yeah.
I was not going to buy Hitman 3, watched you play it. Like, God, okay, fine. I want to get it, right? But that's
because
still,
you wanted to show me what I was doing wrong.
No, yeah, because you're Ramboing the levels and I couldn't stand it. And I had to go, no, this is how you play it. No. So I've got control of my FOMO. I don't have it anymore. But the reality of the situation is in today's society, right? And it's been around for a long time. That's what advertising is based upon, is FOMO. That's how they get people.
Yeah.
Nothing greater happens than when you drop something like an Elden Ring. It's got hype from its fan base, and yet it shows up and all of a sudden you've got generational type scores attached to it. And all of a sudden that word spreads like fire. And then all of a sudden you got a few people showing off clips, and all of a sudden everybody starts to get that itch. And all of a sudden a couple of people go, okay, I'm going to get it. Or like me, you know, I was on the fence of whether or not I was going to wait for a little bit because I didn't want it to be that $60 game that I bought. And then I just dropped and it just sat in my life. Again, budget gamer. I got to be careful. I didn't want that to happen. So I was on the fence back and forth. And then I said, nope, I'm dropping in. I'm dropping in. Again, the hype and the review scores certainly did not hurt that decision. It wasn't the ultimate part of my decision, but it didn't hurt, right? Seeing everybody playing and going, God, yes, that's an open world I want to go see. I want to go visit this open world. And then it just spreads like wildfire, Matt. And all of a sudden now, people who had no intention of buying this game whatsoever, and we know some prominent members in this community who were flat out saying on podcasts, I got no interest in it. Not a Souls person, right?
Right.
They start jumping in, right? And then all of a sudden, everybody is confirming that, hey, while it does have issues that the reviewers may not have touched on. And again, we could have that discussion about the 97, but at the end of the day, this game is freaking amazing. And I'm having the time of my life. And I think more people need to try it out, because there was even people out here, shout out to AssassinLupa, Souls player through and through, who was on Twitter warning people, look, don't believe that people are telling you it's completely different from a Souls game. It's not. It's a Souls game at its heart. If you hate Souls games, there's a big chance you're not going to like this. So please be careful before you purchase.
Because I saw a lot of people on social media like, why did I get this? You know what I mean? And they're like, I hate it.
I have seen some of that as well, but I've seen more of the opposite, right? More of the people going, look, never enjoyed a Souls game or never played a Souls game. And Elden Ring, I'm loving this game. I cannot believe it. This is going to get me to go try the other Souls games, all this stuff, right? It just spread like wildfire. This is the power of social media. And again, we say this is a small bubble. It is a small bubble, but that spreads because those friends who talk to other people that are not a part of this community then hear about this game. I've already sold a couple copies of myself to people who are not in this community because they've asked me about it because they know I'm a gamer. They're like, hey, what's up with that new Elden Ring? So, and I've told them and they're like, so I liked like Bloodborne, so I should probably just buy this one and not wait for a sale. I'm like, look, you got to do what you got to do with your money. But if you like Bloodborne, go buy this game. Chances are you're going to love this thing, right? The chances are it's going to be worth every penny to you as well. So that's how this works. But this is crazy. These numbers, like you were talking about, Matt, for From Software as a company are staggering. And this is not a company that's a one and done type game. They're going to support this game. They supported all of their games. Their DLC, some of their DLC for some of their Souls titles, if you talk to Souls fans, is legendary, right? Some of it is, you know, like how people talk about Witcher 3 DLC. Souls fans talk about some of the Souls DLC, not all of them. Some of them are not quite good, but a lot of them, people still talk about them like, hey, some of that stuff in that DLC was better than the main game. So they are going to support this game. I put out a tweet to the DMs saying that whatever the Elden Ring team was going to do after Elden Ring, and I know they're going to support it, they're going to patch it, and they're going to get DLC, whatever their plans were for the next game, they need to start working on Elden Ring 2 right now. Like, you have lightning in a bottle here. We need to see Elden Ring 2 before the end of this generation.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys need to start working on that because this is your new mainstay franchise. Like Dark Souls, you got the trilogy, right? Bloodborne, yeah, you should probably do Bloodborne 2. It's probably something you should work out with Sony at some point and get that done because Bloodborne probably deserves one as far as how many people love that game and consider it the best one. Sekiro probably deserves number 2 as well. But Elden Ring, you have now transcended, to use that word again, into the masses, which From Software probably had an inkling. That's why they went to the open world and kind of changed some of their formula a little bit to make it more welcoming. Again, there's no hand holding. That's what a lot of people have problems with. But they did change up some of the formula to try to grab more people. But I think they've made a bigger net than they even expected. I think this net that they cast out all of a sudden turned into the size of half the ocean, and they're grabbing people from all different places that, again, they probably never saw actually jumping into one of their games before. And here they are. So you got to capitalize on this. Now, people have asked me if I go back and play another Dark Souls game. I know some people will, which is going to help From Software as well. Those sales are going to pick up on those older games too from this. I don't think personally I am. I don't think I can play another From Software game without the open world aspect, because again, tight quarters stuff still frustrates me in these types of games. So I want another open world title. I hope From Software keeps doing open world titles. Absolutely love what they did here. But yeah, man, these numbers, absolutely mind blowing when you think about where this game came from a popularity standpoint. Yes, that crowd was vocal. That crowd was loud. There was a lot of people from journalists on down that love the Souls games, that have been preaching the Souls game. We saw Jez, just in the shout out to Jez Gordon from Windows Central, just in the past couple of months become a Souls fan himself.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of popular people in this community talk about Souls games, but it still was, most people were going, yeah, not for me, not for me. Look at us today. Look at us today. This game, like you said, Mav, is going to have legs. This game probably has sold somewhere close to 10 million copies already, if not more. You're talking about a game like this with DLC dropping later on, with word of mouth continuing to spread about how great this game is, how much more there is to discover. You're talking about a 15, 20 million seller easy. At the end of the day, maybe even more. Again,
I don't think it'll be more. I think by the end of this generation, we're gonna look at and it's gonna be one of those games like a GTA, like a Skyrim. Like one of these.
What's
things.
Skyrim at? Skyrim's over 30 million now.
Yeah.
After 10 years. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I definitely could see it getting up to that point.
Well, with how many more gamers there are now, and how many more people are buying games now. Even more, I think, and because the industry's growing, right? And that's part of the reason why the whole golden age thing exists. It's not just because the companies are making better games. It's because there's more investment into it, because there's more people buying games, right? The audience is growing.
Yep.
Right. The audience is growing, and more people are getting engaged with gaming than ever before, and this game is showing that more people are willing to try different genres, because even before, it was hard to get one of these Western RPGs to get those kind of numbers, right?
Right.
Because before, it's like, okay, well, that's like a big undertaking, and it was usually like the sports games and the shooters that got the biggest sales, right? And for even like one of those big RPGs to get sales like that was a big deal. That's why Skyrim was such a big deal, And for this game to do this now is like, it's a hardcore game.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm wondering, like, okay, where do they go from here? Like we talked about, this is gonna catapult From Software into another stratosphere when they're used to. So can they put out another Elden Ring, or like a Eldest Ring or whatever, by the end of this generation, to take another 4 years? Or maybe they don't have to spend as long because they've already developed the systems to make this kind of world now. Maybe it only take 3, to do a sequel. I'm wondering if the next one would be current gen only. Yeah, like current gen only. Yeah, and who knows exactly where they could go from here. But the future's bright, man. And this doesn't, like, again, I got to keep going into this. if this doesn't send a message to like all the businesses that are making video games out there, all the publishers, all the Ubisofts out there, you know, the other companies, like this is, you can make a game that is for the hardcore, right? You can make a game that's not overly for everyone and still have it be a huge success, right? You don't, and again, I think that the $60 price tag also has helped it sales wise, right?
Yep.
It's just that $70 stigma. There's a stigma there, and whether people want to admit it or not, right? The more expensive things are, just traditionally, the less they're going to sell, right? And it seems like this title, they've proven everybody that says games need to be $70 completely wrong. This is published by Namco Bandai, or as I like to call them, Namkai Bando.
Bandai Namco. Or Band, yeah, you're right. You're
Namkai, I call them Namkai Bando.
Namkai Bando, yeah, correct. I was gonna say it's another huge win. We didn't even talk about that for Bandai
them.
though.
Oh, they're the RPG
fire.
Kings right now.
They are on fire.
Did they publish Tales of Arise as well?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
So Tales of Arise
from their team,
Scarlet Nexus, and Elden Ring. Oh my gosh!
Right.
Like, are they like having the best early start to this generation out of any of the Japanese publishers? I would say so.
They're the one that's most on the rise without a doubt. Like they are, every single thing they're touching right now is gold. Everything. It's crazy.
Hey, bring back Ridge Racer.
Exactly. Please. Please do bring back Ridge Racer.
They're making some kind of a Pac-Man like thing too.
Yep.
Pac-Man.
They got a new Pac-Man. Yep. They do have new Pac-Man coming out too.
Yeah, Namco is making a name for themselves right now. You know, doing some big things, because this is like it's a big thing for From Software. This is also a really big thing for Namco Bandai, right?
Correct.
And they've had their successes with the Souls games in the past, but this is again at another level. So shout out to them for not unnecessarily charging $70. I appreciate that. Thank you. You saved me $10.
Right. Here, let me touch on this real quick too. iMill or 1 mil, I think it's iMill. He said, Pong Soul, I don't think the Elden Ring sold that many copies, yet there are still major issues with the game on PC. Look, I don't know if you missed it, but the early estimates on Steam are already 5 million, and that was a couple days ago. That Steam, you know, again, it's estimated, but even if the estimates are, you know, wrong, give and take,
off.
Yeah, you're still talking about huge. So I think between all the platforms, I think it's possible with how much momentum it has. Look, I just checked it right now on Steam right now. Concurrent players right now, 563,694 players right now.
That's concurrent.
It's
24.
So all-time peak was 887,815. The 24-hour peak. So during midweek, we're in the middle of the week here, Thursday. In the last 24 hours, Wednesday, Thursday, 816,000 still. That means people aren't dropping off of this thing.
No.
So this has got legs. So even if the PC has issues, people are playing through it. And I've seen that a lot too. Like people are actually like, hey, you adjust the settings, you can get through a lot of the problems. Yeah, you'll get that stutter every once in a while, but overall the game outside of that is still playing okay, right? They're okay with it and still having such a great time. Again, a game, that's what we forget there. That's why I say when people argue whether or not this is generational, look, those games come along very infrequently that despite issues can still hit home with this many people no matter what. Skyrim did that. Skyrim was broken on PS3. Like literally for months, like there was multiple game-breaking bugs on the PS3 version, right? Because the cell processor was so horrible. It's just what it is. They had such a hard time. Bethesda had such a hard time. But overall, again, we already know Bethesda is a real name for them because their games come out with a ton of bugs. Those games are so good that people overlook them.
Yeah.
And whether or not you say that should be right, look, I overlooked all the bugs in Cyberpunk and had the blast. That's my game of last generation. I love Cyberpunk 27 from day one.
Yep.
Without the first patch ever. Okay. So there's certain games that do this. This one right here is one of those games. And it's crazy to see this happening. But Mav, you were touching on something there, kind of interesting when you said other companies looking at Elden Ring, and I kind of wanted to get into that.
Yeah.
Kind of speculation town, right?
Because
a little bit
it's a copycat business.
It's a copycat business. Look, roguelikes were niche titles for a very long time.
No longer.
And then a little game called Hades came along and changed everything. And now we see roguelikes coming from every which way, or even if it's not a full roguelike, some of the mechanics are being implemented into games from big time publishers these days. And we're going to see more. It's just the trend has just begun here with that. With this type of game, with Soul seemingly having broken out of the niche category, I don't think we can apply that anymore. Honestly, this is all it takes is one game for me like this to explode where I go, okay, this is no longer niche. With Elden Ring, Math, because I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this a lot because like you said, you mentioned the Ubisofts of the world, all the people prior to Elden Ring talking about open world fatigue, everybody kind of sick and tired of the games that just are a map with a bunch of icons everywhere. This game is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like I said, it takes a lot from Skyrim in terms of exploration and always finding something new, no matter where you go, something unexpected happening, whatever the case may be, keeping it fresh as you travel through. But there is no hand holding in this game.
Yeah.
Right? There's none. You don't even have on the map. Look, I was talking to Steele about this the other night when we were playing together, or we were just chatting together while we were both playing the game. I said, there are some quality of life things that I think From Software should bring over, that in 2022 it's kind of like, hey, there's enough RPGs. Like, I don't want a copycat RPG, but there's some things like be able to, when you're buying something, be able to compare it to your current armor, right? Mm-hmm. If you're buying new armor, to see the stats so I can see what I'm buying, like just simple stuff like that. The other one is on the map, having names of the general places that you're in. So when I'm looking something up and I say, oh, I need to go over to this place, I can look at my map and see where it is, right? But on the map, they don't even give you names really outside of the key points of interest, but they don't give you territory names on the map. And I'm like, really? Anyways, but I think that there's a lot that other games, and like you were talking about, Ubisoft could take from this. And man, I want you to speculate here. We're in speculation town now. Looking ahead, it's not going to happen right away because open world games take a long time to develop. There's a lot that are already being developed now. It's too late. Devs aren't going to change what they do. But what do you think from your experience in this open world here, and From Software's kind of idea of what an open world can be? What do you think we see devs pull from this? What would you like to see them pull from this and carry forward maybe, 4 or 5 years down the line as they start developing a new game like an Ubisoft? What would you like to see? What do you think they can do?
My main thing is not basically genre based, but basically embracing the genre that you're in. Right? Embracing whatever the game is, like less hand holding, right? Like less trying to make every game for everybody. Because I think if you make something that is really truly special within a genre, you are going to potentially reach more people that are going to want to try it out and give it a chance, right? We saw that, like you said, with Forza Horizon 5. We're seeing that now with Elden Ring, right? But remember Biomutant, right?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, so it came out, and I was really excited to play it. Man, the first hour and a half, 2 hours of that game was the most brutal, annoying thing I've ever played in my entire life. It was so frustrating. You move forward 10 steps and another, it freezes the screen. It was a bunch of long dialogue and all this stuff. Then you finally get out of it. And then you move forward 10 steps thinking, finally free. I can play the game. And then rinse and repeat. The whole process over and over again. Then you had that annoying narrator talking to you, telling you what to do the whole time and all this stuff. Elden Ring, when you start playing the game, you're just there. And it's up to you to figure out what to do. Right? I remember coming across an astrologer guy, and a guy that had stuff like for astrologers. He had like astrologer's outfit, he had like astrologer like equipment and stuff, and I was like, oh, I need to mark this on the map so I can remember to tell Pong about it. Which I did mark it on the map. I completely forgot to tell you about it, but I meant to tell you about it because I know that's what you picked was an astrologer, right? And I mean, the aspects like that, you're going around and you're the sense of discovery and exploration and figuring things out for yourself is truly rewarding. And I think for me, and I honestly, I don't believe this is why it's clicking with a lot of people. I believe that's the magic of this game, right? It's not necessarily the brutal fighting, which is also really good, and because the combat's good and all this stuff, and you have to learn. But it's the sense of discovery in this game is so strong, right? So it's grabbing all these RPG fans that like the big open worlds and all these things that have this sense of discovery where you're going around, you don't know what to expect, right? And when you expect it, you feel like you discovered it because you're immersed in that world, right? Now, whatever genre that these companies are making, like, because not everything has to fit like one formula, right? But embrace the hardcoreness of whatever that is. What are the fans wanting most from that genre, right? Is if it's racing, deliver upon that instead of trying to make it something that's watered down for other people as well, right? If you're making a fighting game, right, make it hardcore into what the fans want from that. You know, if you're making this or making whatever, that's what I take away from it, and less about trying to figure out a way to make as much money off of something that we're going to appeal to the masses, and we're going to have as much microtransactions within this, and we're going to have all this stuff because we're going to bring in everybody, and we're going to sell this game, and it's going to be so inviting and stuff, and we're going to just make tons of money off of everybody that's living within the world. Now, that's fine. I like some of those games too, right? But there needs to be stuff like this, because stuff like this can be successful. Stuff like this, which there's no like microtransactions, none of this stuff in it, right? It's just a game. You hop into it, you live in that world, and you explore and you figure it out, and then you can beat it, right? If you really are hardcore into it, right? There's a place for games like this to exist. And that's what reason I brought up Ubisoft, right? They're doing that Splinter Cell remaster, the Splinter Cell remake, right? So what do you do? Like, do they see Elden Ring and do they think, okay, now we need to put some of the like Souls like formula into Splinter Cell? No. What you need to do is make Splinter Cell the most hardcore Splinter Cell experience you can possibly make, right? Because Elden Ring for me is the most hardcore Souls type experience because it's big, it's beautiful, and it's hardcore and it's challenging, right? So it is bringing that in a way, it's bringing that franchise to the masses, but it's not losing what makes it special. So you have to figure out a way with all of these franchises and all these genres out there. How do we sell more copies, but not lose what makes our game special? A lot of companies are losing that within their franchises. Within Ubisoft, again, we've seen what they've done with the Clancy brand, trying to, use it to make like that X-Defiant game and all these other things. It's losing the luster of what makes that brand special, right? And you see the Elden Ring from Software is just like unapologetically, this is what it is. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Turns out a lot of people like it. A lot of people like it, and it's selling like crazy. So embrace the genres, embrace the franchises, embrace it. Like this goes into movies too. Like Marvel, one of the reasons they were so successful with all the MCU stuff, right? They really embraced the chaoticness and the silliness of the comics, right? With those movies, like they're not trying to like make it real. It's like crazy stuff happens. Like in all these games, you got to embrace it. Just embrace what it's supposed to be, and stop trying to have a focus group of people sitting around, executives saying, "How can we make this appeal to more people? How are we going to sell this to more people?" the key aspect of this has always been from the start, make the best thing possible, right? And if you make something that doesn't appeal to the actual audience that was ever interested in that in the first place, you're gonna lose everybody. If you appeal to the hardcore first, then it's going to appeal more beyond that if you nail it, right? And that's what it takes to transcend these genres and push these genres into the masses. They have achieved something with Elden Ring that is very difficult, right? It's very difficult to bring that game. It's got issues, right? Like you said, like if you have, like, because I have FreeSync, which I actually asked somebody in the chat, like, is FreeSync a form of VRR? Because I'm not noticing any performance issues or anything when I'm playing, because I have FreeSync on my monitor and that's what I play on, right? And it's smooth as butter, right? No issues. But I did play in my bedroom where I have like a larger TV that doesn't have VRR on it. And man, it is choppy as shit, even in performance mode, right, on the Xbox. So it's got some performance issues, and it really unexcusable on like next gen consoles to have those kind of things. But the game is so good, I forget about it when I'm playing. I don't even give a shit because it's so good. I'm so immersed that I forget about these things, you know, like it's jarring at first, but it's so, you get so involved and it's like, okay, you don't even notice it anymore. You know, I honestly think that like what I'm hoping, we're going to get into this later. So what I'm hoping for Gran Turismo, what I'm hoping for other games is just purely be the hardest core version, like, of what you can be, like, you know what I mean? Like, and stop watering down your stuff, please. That's what I hope. That's what I hope they learn from it. I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I think you got to be what you got to be. And I think that you can't try to force yourself. Like Ubisoft can't turn around and say, okay, we're going to make a Souls like Far Cry.
All right,
okay,
turn Assassin's Creed Souls.
Right. They can't do that. But what they can do is they can take from this, and this is, let me start here. We've seen a little bit of the influence from Souls games in other places already. And I think the main one for me, and I again, we'll never know for sure because I don't think he's openly talked about it, but Vincent Pella in Jedi Fallen Order. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jedi Fallen Order did not try to be the normal mass appealed Star Wars game. Yep. Right. It was not that in a lot of ways because the combat is very, again, I'm not going to I hate when people overuse just like Breath of the Wild and all that kind of stuff. I hate when they overuse it. But what I will say is that it was more like the games that we used to play as kids, Mav, than a lot of games nowadays. There was Souls aspects to it where you had to learn to parry, where you had to learn to dodge, where you had to learn to time your strikes and not get greedy. That's the one thing that Souls games will teach you is not to be greedy. It's not just a button mash to get in there and get the most attacks possible. And if you take a couple hits, oh, well, no big deal. I know I'm powered up enough to take those hits. You can't do that in Souls. Okay. Even if you are OP, you can't do that. Because if you take too many of those hits, next thing you know, you're done, right? And it can happen in a flash because all of a sudden the boss uses a brand new combo that he hasn't used before on you. That's the other big thing, right? And I think Jedi Fallen Order did a great job of blending those two. They also gave us a lot of, Jedi Fallen Order specifically gave us, the option to adjust the difficulty, which is great. So again, but I think Vince did take some from the Souls. So we've seen this influence already, but going forward here for an Ubisoft, for, somebody who's trying to create a new open world game, you now have two companies that I consider masters at the idea of, again, you guys are going to get sick of hearing this, but exploration and discovery. And that's Bethesda and that's From Software. I could put From up there now. They've proven to me that they can do this in an open world setting. Those two, I don't think there's been two games or two companies like Bethesda and From Software now with Elden Ring, to do it just to this degree, where you go out into the world and discover things for yourselves. Again, I'm not expecting Ubisoft to come out with a new Far Cry or Assassin's Creed and all of a sudden there's no icons on the map. You have to find everything, or you have to find specific, pieces of the map in order to see some kind of, places. I don't expect them to do that. But what I do expect going forward, and I hope more people take notice of this, because that's what most people are talking about, is that sense of exploration and discovery in open world. There's no replacing that. And for a lot of people, that's an addiction into itself. Like, again, when I say addiction, I don't mean the bad term. I just mean what keeps you engaged in that world and coming back for more. Part of the gameplay loop is that, hey, what am I going to find next? If I go over here, what is there going to be? If you already give me a map that shows me all these icons, and it's all I know is I'm got to go over here and I'm going to find a base, and I got to go over here and I'm going to find, some people to rescue. And this place over here, I got to go pick up something and go deliver it. That takes away all of that sense of discovery. It can still be good. Again, Ubisoft games are my fast food. I know exactly what I'm going to get from them. And I can go back to them, and I like them. I enjoy them a lot. But the specialness comes from when you don't know specifically what you're going to find at that next spot. There has been more talk about people sitting in parties. And again, I was doing this with Steel. Single player games, and this is not just a single player game. Yes, there's multiplayer aspects, but single player games in general, sitting in a party with a bunch of people and talking about it normally doesn't happen. Because kind of it's already set up like what you're going to see, what you're going to do. In this game, part of the coolness, and I've seen this from so many people in this community, is sitting in a party with a bunch of people all playing their own game of Elden Ring and talking about what they're finding, right? And going, like you said, Matt, you had marked a spot on your map because you knew I was an astrologer and you were going to tell me about where to go.
Yep.
That's because nobody knows unless you've been there.
Yep.
What's actually there, and people are finding secret bosses that nobody else has found. I saw a lady post one about this giant moose looking thing, and there was people like Erica for the Win, who is a Souls veteran as well, and she explores everywhere. She still had not found that, and she was asking lady, hey, where'd you find this? I want to go fight him, because people had not discovered it yet. That is magical when it comes together. And again, the scope of this world is another thing that I think that other companies can take from. Not to say that there isn't a lot in Ubisoft games. Look, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is gigantic, okay? It's ginormous, okay? But at the end of the day, when you've got all the icons out there and marked on it, you kind of know what you're going to get into. This is going to be another base. Yeah, it might look a little different, but still going to be a base. And I know I got to take out the guards, and then I know I got to go for the captain. There's no magic there. There's no sense of surprise there. Even if it's in a totally different spot on the map you haven't been before, you still know what the end outcome is going to be, what your battle is going to basically look like. In Elden Ring, you have no idea. A lot like in Skyrim. The randomness in Skyrim is what makes it special. You can be fighting a dragon, all of a sudden another dragon shows up and starts attacking the other dragon. Yep. That's unscripted. That's just the game's AI being completely 100% based upon a dice roll, to use that analogy like we used to in D&D, of something crazy happening. The same stuff happens in Elden Ring, not to that degree, but I'm talking about the randomness of wherever you're exploring surprises, shocks, and awes you from time to time. And that's what creates that. Really, when we talk about generational type games, there's so few and far between, but other companies could look at this as an example, and I hope they do and take from that. And yes, Mav, you are exactly correct. As far as the hand-holding goes and that kind of stuff, look, I understand why you do it. There has been some people in the community that I've seen that have tried Elden Ring that say, look, this is just, I have no idea what I'm doing. Please, From Software, give me some kind of explanation here, blah, blah, blah. I understand why an Ubisoft takes that to the extreme and wants to tell you everything that you do, how to do it. I get that, but there's a balance. You don't need all of that, right? at all. And I hope that we start to see some companies look at this and go, okay, well, we're not going to go that hardcore, but we're gonna trim back a little bit and let people kind of get out on their own and kind of figure things out in some ways. I think that would add a lot to games like Assassin's Creed, or again, obviously, like you said, with any upcoming game, whether it be Far Cry, I think that would add to the experience. And I think a lot of people would appreciate that more. And maybe some of this open world fatigue that everybody's been talking about up until Elden Ring launched would go away. And I think that people would be like, okay, this is a lot better. I think people just are sick and tired of that map with all the icons everywhere. So I think those are the biggest aspects I hope to see going forward, that we see more companies try to create games like this. Again, they don't have to be Souls in difficulty level, but also just give us a game that we get to go in and find out what we need to do for ourselves, and just give us that sense that, hey, this is a full world. This is not an empty world, right? This is something, this is like a living, breathing, like I could see this experiencing. The other thing I will say is the diversity of environments. I know not every game can be set up that way. Like if you're going to set your game like Assassin's Creed Odyssey in ancient Greece, look, it is what it is. It's based upon, real life stuff. So it is what it is. But if you're going to go make a fantasy game, this diversity that you see in Elden Ring should be a prime example of what you should do, so that when people are traveling from place to place, it's like a whole new world. It's like I just walked into something completely crazy. I have seen so many different skies, so many different backgrounds, so many different pieces of architecture throughout Elden Ring already. It's almost mind-boggling. Like every place does not feel like the last place I just left. It feels like a whole brand new area. And that's how it should be if you're going to create a fantasy world like this. And I think that is spectacular. And my last point is, Mav, and you talked about this again, be good at what you do, and play to your base. But at the end of the day, this should show people that gameplay is still king, no matter what. Gameplay and gameplay loop. Look, Sid Meier had an interview this week. We're not going to touch on it, but Sid Meier had an interview. The headline was misleading. The headline was Sid Meier warns about microtransactions. Okay. If you go read the article and you read his quotes, what he was saying in there was he does not want to see game companies, if they're going to go to this games as a service more and more, they're going to go to microtransactions more and more. Don't let that be your priority. The gameplay and the gameplay loop, at the end of the day, that's what began this craze that we call the video game industry. You can't lose that core in all of the other stuff. It's a business, and he understands the business. But what he said is you can't get so business that you lose out on what made gaming great in the first place, which is the experience for the user. And I think that has to remain. In Elden Ring, like we've just been talking about, Mav, is, again, it's got its issues, but the gameplay and the gameplay loop is so fantastic that we are willing to overlook some of the issues, and more people are willing to overlook the issues than it would be if the gameplay or the gameplay loop was not fun.
Right.
Then we'd be looking at it going, what the hell did you guys do?
Yeah.
What took you 6 years? Why is this out here now? This is crazy. What are you guys doing? Again, don't forget your core. Ubisoft is forgetting their core in a lot of ways. And I want to see, again, we keep using Ubisoft because they're the greatest example right now. Like EA, yeah, they're
living in both worlds right now. EA has the bad, but they also have the good, right? They
have a lot of balancing right now. Yeah, and that's the whole problem. But we've seen it, right? Battlefield, they've lost their core. They've lost their core for a long time. And we thought that Battlefield 2042 was going to be the one to bring it back. Guess what? We found out that wasn't the case. Again, even though I'm having a good time in it whenever I play it, but it doesn't matter. Overall, I'm not going to sit here and try to ignore the fact that they lost their core base. They lost what made Battlefield, trying to do too many other things. And that's the problem that a lot of companies are facing these days. So I hope that Elden Ring shows, hey, do what you do best, but make sure that you sprinkle in these elements for the people, and you can break out of any niche you think you're in. You can break out of any kind of, hey, we're capped at this certain amount. We need to appeal to more people. You can still break out of that, even if you're a little bit more hardcore, just by focusing on what makes gaming great in the first place, and then add the rest if you want to. But make sure you got that base down, and you can bring in people from all over. People who've never tried games like yours will come in and try it if you get that base right. And I think that that's a big one to take away from Elden Ring. Man, hats off to From Software, man. Again, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy to watch this happen. Like I said,
I have some more numbers actually.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I shout out to Game On Daily, and they had shared an article from GamingIndustry.biz, and I think this is the GamingIndustry.biz that you were referring to.
Yeah.
They got, so this is referring to the GSD UK numbers, right?
Yep.
So, according to this, we have a percentage of digital and physical sales per platform.
Correct.
In the
UK. This is the UK, correct?
Yep, in the UK.
One area.
So if we were to kind of hypothesize about that 5 million number, if that was accurate, right? Now, there's a lot of speculation about that. The 5 million number for Steam, is it accurate? Is it not? We don't know. But like, I don't know the history of if those numbers have been accurate in the past. I'm guessing somewhat. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going to that for any kind of reference point, right?
Correct.
So I'm going to take that 5 million. Okay, on PC, the first, I guess this is for the first week of sales. On PC, that was 30%.
Yep.
So that means 70% was on top of the 5 million, right? So 5 million at that point would only make up 30%. So that's
almost 15 million.
At least 15 million. It actually means more than 15 million because that's another 10% on top of that, which is another 1.5. So another 16.5 million potential sales here. Could potentially be 16.5 million sales of Elden Ring already. If that is true, if that is accurate, that is like next. That is crazy. That is crazy. That is craziness, right? The other aspect here we have the percentage that was digital in the UK is 68% of Elden Ring sales. Almost 85% of Elden Ring sales in the USK in the UK were digital. On 85% of Xbox sales were digital, and also Xbox, surprisingly, in the UK makes up for 29%. So only 3% less than PlayStation. On a big multi-platform game, that on a Souls game, which used to be heavily favored on PlayStation last generation, right?
Right.
So some interesting numbers here coming out of this. Now, I'll say this. They add 9% on PS4, so I wasn't taking that into account here. So you're talking about still 13. If you add PS4 into it, you're still looking at 41% versus 29%. So you're still looking at only a 12% difference between PlayStation and Xbox on the market share for Elden Ring in the UK. Like last generation, that would have been probably like 4-1.
Right.
Probably. Right. I mean, making huge strides. So yeah, this is a big game. The big game.
Yeah, they said this was the biggest launch in the UK since Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Red Dead Redemption 2 in the first 3, and again, we're taking one area, but we're just kind of extrapolating that it's going to be similar everywhere, right? That's what we're kind of assuming that, but again, if it's big over there, it's obviously been gigantic here. So, but Red Dead Redemption 2, in its first 3 days of sale, sold $725 million worth of copies. We divide that by $60 because back then there were $60 games only. So you're looking at about 12 million copies, a little over 12 million copies at that point, right?
Right.
If I'm doing my math correct. So you're talking about ridiculous numbers here. Again, anything over 10 million. If this is over 10 million in its first week of sales for a game like Elden Ring, that prior to launch, up until the day it launched, was considered niche. If it does that much in the first week, my God, this, again, it's called a phenomenon. And this is the perfect example of that. Again, it's transcending. It's the other great word that Mav used earlier, transcending all kinds of genres right now, because it's appealing to people that it never would have appealed to in the past.
It's becoming a household name, and will actually approach people that aren't even gamers will know that there's something out there called Elden Ring.
Correct.
That's when you hit it big.
It's going to hit the mass.
Like Halo, you know, I could go and talk to my mom. Have you heard of Halo? It's like, yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, but she's heard of it, right? You know, like things like that. You know, exactly. The Elden Ring is going to be heard by a lot of people. You know, movies, a potential TV show could happen from this. You know, it's
you know, Netflix is salivating right now.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. But Amazon Prime, Netflix, Paramount Plus are all like, man, we gotta catch on to this, right? Because
saw what The Witcher 3 did.
Yeah, Amazon Prime's got the Lord of the Rings show. So like, could Netflix answer to that be Elden Ring, right? Or could Paramount Plus, you know, HBO Max? Whew.
High dark fantasy with a little bit of horror mixed in there.
Could you imagine seeing these creatures come to life? No. Oh my God. The creativity in this game is amazing. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
What else we got? I mean,
we
talked for like hour and a half about Elden Ring.
Bro,
oh my God.
This is what we do, man. It's great. This is taking over the world. Hey, this is like like I said, it was a slower news week anyways, but Elden Ring has been the talk of the town. It's not letting up. Now the strategy guides are hitting too, which is just causing more and more people are coming out with these strats saying, hey, if you guys need help, do this, do this. Look.
Could you imagine being a guides editor for Elden Ring?
No. No. But other than that, Mav, look, another big thing of the week has been Gran Turismo. Now, again, I don't own a PlayStation 5. I'm not going to have hands-on with Gran Turismo, right? But I have played a lot of Gran Turismo in my past. I know what polyphony is about. So we can have general discussions about this stuff. Nobody has their hands on it as of yet. Mav, obviously, you at one point had you had a PS5. You got rid of it again, but you were looking forward to Grand Theft Auto. Jesus, Gran Turismo 5. You were looking forward to because you're a big Gran Turismo fan. In fact, on Xbox Ultimate, you killed off the Forza franchise in favor of Gran Turismo.
Yeah, that was because I was forced to make a decision. Hear me out. There was ramifications. I am more of a current gen, last gen Forza fan. I was going on nostalgia, hope, and I had to pick one of the two. And I was trying to say, I have such high hopes. I need Gran Turismo to come back to full form, and I need it to happen. And killing it off at the time meant that it was impossible for it to ever happen, because that's the game that we play on Xbox Ultimate called Kill It. So just adding context out there, everybody.
Are you done defending yourself now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anyways, my point is that you were looking forward to Gran Turismo because you do love Gran Turismo. You love the style and setup of Gran Turismo. You like the hardcore, hey, I got to start with a basic car and then move my way up, all that good stuff. But Gran Turismo, as we know, has been on the downswing. They have not put out what would be considered a classic Gran Turismo in a long time. Of course, it doesn't help that polyphony takes freaking forever to make to make a Gran Turismo, but they just have not hit. A lot of their games, to me, Gran Turismo Sport being the last one, felt like a partial game. It did not feel like a whole game, right? And that's been kind of the issue.
It was like that GTA Prologue also, like it's a stopgap. You know?
Exactly.
Like, what the hell is that?
Because they take like literally like 10, 12 years to make Gran Turismo like a full game. Anyways, That's neither here nor there. But Gran Turismo's launching now. We got reviews. Review copies went out early, and the embargoes came up on what was it? Tuesday? No, Wednesday. Right, Wednesday. Our embargoes lifted, and look, it's at an 87 right now. It dropped a point. It was holding steady at an 88. It came down to an 87. Look, outside of the circus, where it's got to be 90 plus, we've been told to be a home run banger, as the kids say, which I hate, but anyways, a banger. It's got to be 90 plus. They made these rules. The circus. This is what happens when you allow the circus and the clown show to make the rules. So they made their rules, and now it's coming back to bite them. Okay, and we're talking obviously about the Sony side of things, because Sony's been stuck at 88s for a long time now. They've had a lot of 88s. Demon Souls remake was the only one that's hit over 90 so far, but now they're all getting upset because it's all coming in. But of course, the normal people, the Mav and Eyes of the world, like an 87, 88 is a freaking great score.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be a great game. Now, Mav, talk about this, brother. I know you've been really busy this week, but I'm sure you've seen some of the footage that's been leaked out there. Again, we don't know anything. The full game, the full game just got out there today. So it's hard to tell. Again, we won't know because we don't have hands-on experience. So whatever, we're speaking from what we're seeing. But a couple things that struck me. Number one, just like we were talking about, getting back to your base, it looks like Polyphony has done that with Gran Turismo 7. Okay. It looks like they went back to what made them great. And that it is paying off, that there's a lot of people loving what they're playing again. Now, there's been some mixed reception as well. I've seen some videos about some really bad physics, which has always been a problem with Polyphony. It looks like they have not corrected that at all. But Mav, from your perspective, somebody who's really looking forward to a new Gran Turismo, somebody who did have a PlayStation 5 at one time, was going to have this game in their hands, and you may wind up going to get another PS5 at some point here and getting it. I know it'll be a game that I do grab whenever I get a PS5. But for you, Mav, you see 87, 88, whatever the case may be. You've probably heard some of the reviews out there now by this point. You've seen a lot of the video out there. What do you think, Mav? Is it hitting for you? Does it look like they've gotten back to that old Gran Turismo that both you and I love so much?
I feel like it has in some ways, which is the most important ways for me, just because, like, for me, like, the old school Gran Turismos back in the day had a certain vibe, right? Like and all the Gran Turismos even since then have some aspect of that, but like it just really, like, we're so different and unique, like, within the sim racing genre. Like, this captures, from everything I can see right now, is capturing that vibe. But also part of that vibe has a lot of the flaws that come along the way, right? And that is where they're kind of missing the boat a little bit, it seems like, because Forza's killed them in the physics department ever since Forza was released, right? And then somehow Forza was releasing every 2 years while it took them like 7 years to make a Gran Turismo game, right? So, like, this past 2-3 generations, I feel like Forza has dominated the hardcore racing genre, where Gran Turismo's been like, okay, we're all waiting and then hoping, and then there's been like some letdowns, right? This one, for me, is the way it's coming across right now, because I haven't played it, obviously. It doesn't release until, I think, tomorrow, but even then, like, I still won't get to play it right away. This was the one reason, like, I had second guessed selling the PS5, is just this one game. But knowing that whenever I do get to play this down the line, I am still going to have just as an enjoyable experience. This is not a game that necessarily I have to deal with that FOMO, because I'm not missing an event. This is something that's going to last the whole generation. Like, there's not going to be another Gran Turismo probably launched this generation, I would assume. They're going to kind of use this as the platform it's going to live on.
It's a pretty good assumption.
Yeah. So I can get this whenever and still have a great time with it. So I'm judging it based on what I'm seeing from all of, like, the reviews, from, like, the videos, and all this stuff. And my main takeaway is that they've nailed getting back to some of the core aspects that made people like me fall in love with Gran Turismo back in the day, while still not quite catching up to Forza Motorsport in the track department, right? With the on track department of the actual racing, right? The physics, at least. You can have your comparisons of like the car models, right? Which car models look better, and you can make arguments both ways, right? I would say track wise and stuff like that, there's no argument that even like the Forzas have looked better, right? You can make people can make arguments about the lighting and all these other little details, right? I love certain aspects of Gran Turismo, and I don't need the game to be like the best looking, most amazing thing ever. I want it to have that Gran Turismo vibe. I want it to be Gran Turismo. I want it to be unapologetically Gran Turismo, right? And that's all I want from it. And it looks like that's what they're delivering for the most part. I would still like to see some kind of improvements where they did look like they missed the boat on some of those, according to the reviews. But it's going to be interesting, man, because this to me, an 87 for this is good. It's very good. It's very good, and I've seen a lot of like reviewers and the reviews that I respect their opinion. Give really high scores to this, and reading what they've said, I'm like, okay, that's what I wanted to see. Yes, thank you. You've clarified that for me now. I know I can go and get that game, and I'm going to have a great time with it.
Right.
And the interesting thing is, man, if Forza Motorsport drops this year, which I think it's gonna.
Yep.
That is gonna. We have how many years have we had a mainline Gran Turismo and a Forza Motorsport drop in the same day? I mean, the same year. The same year.
Been a long time. A long time.
Is this going to be the year where the racing genre is brought back to the forefront? Like, weirdly though, I mean, I see people talking about Gran Turismo, but I don't see it like. I think Elden Ring is really overshadowing it.
Elden Ring is overshadowing everything.
Yeah, but, I mean, for Horizon Forbidden West, anybody ever remember that thing? You know?
There's still some people posting videos and pictures of Horizon, and it looks gorgeous, and the picture mode is absolutely incredible. From Software does need to put a picture mode in there, by the way. Anyways, it looks fantastic, but overall, Elden Ring is just too big. Again, cross-platform. That's what happens, right? Cross-platform. It overtakes first-party titles. That's usually what happens, and that's what's happened with Elden Ring. But yeah, Gran Turismo is going to be definitely lost for a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what's gonna like? I feel like if it like when it releases, it has a chance to like really catch on. Like if it clicks with people, right?
Right.
And it's going to be interesting to see the people that I really know are racing fans and what they say after they've been able to play it and see the responses on Twitter. And I can't wait to play it. I'll probably be playing it if Forza Motorsport drops around the same time, and I'm gonna have a blast at that time, going back and forth comparing, right? Because I'm a huge Forza fan as well. Like Forza Motorsport, grabbed me right away from the first game. They were doing all the things that Gran Turismo wasn't, right?
Yep.
Forza Motorsport had lost its way a little bit for me the last couple releases, right? They lost a little bit of that hardcore aspect to me, of sim racing, and that's just kind of goes back into what we're talking about Elden Ring. Like, just be what you are and embrace it and go all in on that, And I think that's one thing that I can take away from Gran Turismo that they've kind of been able to do with this somewhat is be Gran Turismo, right? Just be that. It's okay to erase like some of these ideas you've had over the past years and stuff, and like some of the failures that you've had, and to just like get back to like what made people fall in love with it in the first place, right? And I want to go and start with a Toyota Corolla, a 4-cylinder, and it's got 300,000 miles on it, and the muffler's falling off, and it have like rust stains all over it, and I want to turn that car into winning a Class D Cup, and then win enough money to be able to buy, hopefully, a Skyline or something like that, and then race with that for like
A used
300,
one.
300
That you have to
races.
do oil change.
Yeah, 300 races and be able to put work in oil changes, car washes, and you know, you finally get that exhaust put on. You finally get the, you know, a turbo on it. You know, you get all these things, and eventually you're winning the class like C cups, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, now I'm getting to the real money, right? Then you get like a Corvette, right? You know, then you get
Right.
something that costs a little bit more. You know, you build up over time, like, and you really have to work for it. I know it's stupid, right? Like people are like, oh, it doesn't make sense, Mav. But you know, for me, that was the rewarding aspect. That was like the soulsness of it back then. It was the challenge you had ahead and working towards that, and feeling a reward at the end of it because you did the work and you felt like attached to the progress that you made, right? And like it felt like an accomplishment. Like when I play Forza Motorsport, I play because all of them. Okay, we're gonna scale the difficulty to you. We're going to, you know, all the driving assist. You know, like we're gonna do all these things. Now you can turn them on or off. You know, and all these things. But like back then, that stuff didn't exist. You had to figure it out. You had to get better. You know, and you had to finally get enough money to be able to help get the car better. And it was like leveling up, progression. It almost had like a RPG aspect with that. You know, earning money, putting it towards something, it gets better. It makes it easier to win more money. You know, it's a formula, right? And the racing genre has lost that for me.
Yeah.
It's just become here's everything at your disposal. Here, have fun. It's a, you know, I like it for games like Horizon, right? That's more of a casual experience, like a more for everyone arcade fun thing. But like for like a motorsport or Gran Turismo, I want that hardcore aspect, right? I want to go in there and be challenged and forced to work towards those goals, right? And I'm hoping that Forza Motorsport gets that. I highly doubt it will, honestly. I mean, I think it'll probably be more for everyone than any Forza Motorsport game we've ever played, just based on Microsoft, right? But like, at least maybe Gran Turismo can still be that, and that's why I want Gran Turismo to be successful. What have you seen, man? Like, have you seen something that's gotten you excited, or I mean, do you plan on getting it at some point?
Yeah, like I said, if I got a PS5, I would definitely be picking up Gran Turismo because I think they've shown enough improvement. Again, presentation from Gran Turismo is a lot about what that game is, right? And as a car lover, the extra things that they put into it, the extra touches that they do are not lost on me. Like to the casual person who isn't a car person at all, like they're not going to care about the history of the automobiles that they're driving. They're not going to care about the cafe setting. They're not going to care about that kind of stuff, right? They're just going to be curious about what the actual driving racing is like. And Gran Turismo being a simulation does not have that mass appeal that an arcade racer like Forza Horizon 5 does, right? But for me, as a car guy, somebody who is interested in that, the little touches that Polyphony do, because Polyphony, make no mistake about it, they are car fanatics. That is what that whole development team is. If you listen to them speak, they love every aspect of a vehicle, from the design of vehicles to how they perform on the track to their exact history of how they came about being made. They love all of that, and that love is put into their games. Again, does it always turn out? No, it doesn't. They lost me when Forza came along and did things like physics, like the sense of speed while I'm driving, a lot better than what Gran Turismo historically had done up to that point, and from what it appears, still is doing. Now, people have said that the sense of speed has been fixed, that they've added some more blur while you're driving to give you a greater sense of speed. But I did watch some videos today where I was like, ooh, I don't know. Like if I'm doing 150, I don't want to feel like I'm doing 30 on a moped. Okay. That's not what it's supposed to feel like. If I'm behind the wheel of Ferrari and I'm doing 150 plus, I want to feel like I'm moving. And again, Gran Turismo's always lacked in that area. So we'll see. I like some of the weather effects that they put in there, although somebody did put up a comparison in the rain versus kind of the replay. Look, let me say this. The replays, why everybody, that's all they show, or a lot of what they showed during Polyphony's presentation. A lot of people were like, why don't I see third person driving? Why do I always see cockpit view? And why do I always see replays? Well, number one, the replay mode is something that I wish Forza would look at and try to copycat exactly, because for whatever reason, there is just something uncanny about Gran Turismo's replays, where if you aren't paying attention, if you just looked up, Forza's really good. I'm not downplaying Forza's replays at all. They're really good. But Gran Turismo's, look, there's just something about it. Like, they put out a trailer of drifting. Bro, there was moments in that, a lot of that trailer where you would have swore that was a real car. Like that, it's just that uncanny sometimes. So that's why you see so much of it, because they put a lot of work into the replay and their camera system, and it shows. Also, they put a lot of work into the cockpit view, the cockpit driving view. It is more detailed than the Forza games are. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's more detailed. The little details in the vehicles are just on another level when it comes to Gran Turismo. But you get in that third person camera view, which is what I drive mostly in. I'm one of those people. Yeah, don't talk to me about the cockpit view being the only way to do it. Whatever. I like the third person view. When you get out there, when you get outside the vehicle in an actual race, and it's not the replay, you notice that Forza outshines Gran Turismo in most instances from a third person camera view of your car. It's not until you're up close and personal with the cars that those little details start shining through for Gran Turismo, which doesn't happen unless you're in photo mode, unless you're, checking out the car very closely. Again, third person view, Forza wins. And that's where I drive mostly from. And like I said, I saw some videos today of the weather, the rain effect, like the clouds. They've done a fantastic job with the clouds, natural formations, all that kind of stuff. Look really fantastic. Skybox off the charts. Gran Turismo, that's never been a strong suit of Polyphony either. They've gone and done a lot of work on that skybox. It shows. But the rain effect, like what we saw in the replay and how they talked about the puddles and all that kind of stuff, that's great. But what about racing, which is what you're going to be doing in this game? What does the rain look like when you're racing? Gotta say, not very impressive in Gran Turismo 7 compared to a Forza 7 from 4 years ago or whatever it is at this point, 5 years ago almost now. Not very impressive. The rain effects in Forza are much, much better while you're racing. It's just little things like that that they're still behind on. Again, I think that both Turn 10 and Polyphony could take from each other and really improve each one of their games. I'm not saying turn their game into the other one, but just take what they do excel at, and it would make both games a lot better. I'm hoping to see improvements in a lot of areas from Forza Motorsport if we do get it this year. I hope that they looked over at that side and said, okay, look, we know we're king. We know that most people will consider Forza king, but what can we take from Polyphony that they do a little bit better than us? And then I hope Polyphony down the road, again, it's not going to be for a long time. I've got an article here from Push Square, obviously PlayStation website. They do all PlayStation journalism there, but they put out an article today because the developers came out, Polyphony came out and said on their official website that they're going to be adding even more content to the title, that this is going to be, what was their quote? Their quote was, where was it? We hope you will look forward to the ever evolving Gran Turismo 7. So like Mav said, are we going to see another one this generation? Probably not. This sounds like this is more of a games as a service. They talked about adding new courses, new cars, new world circuit events, more mission races, more music rally songs, more engine parts to swap, new lobby features, new time trials for sport mode, improvements to penalty, a logarithm, and overall quality of online races. It sounds like they're going to be working on this game for a very, very long time. So good on them. It does make me want to play it. I'm glad it got the scores it did. I think it has improved in a lot of ways. Now, again, until I actually get my hands on the controller, get behind the wheel, maybe once I start driving it, after I compare it to something like a Forza Motorsport, I'm going to be like, yo, this feels really old at this point. Like, they really got to update. Maybe the racing won't feel as good as it should. That could happen. but I would still do it because, like you said, Mab, I think they've done enough to go back to their roots on this one that it does appeal to me. And like I said, the presentation in Gran Turismo is second to none. I love how they present everything. I would just enjoy the game for that alone. And I'll throw this in there. ACG, he did a great review of this. He actually said with the DualSense, which I hadn't heard that they were doing, maybe I just missed it because I wasn't reading a lot about Gran Turismo, but I didn't remember them showing it in any of their presentations either. But the DualSense controller, they actually turned that into a steering wheel. You can use it as a steering wheel. And he said that it is absolutely mind-boggling good. Really? How well it works. He said, once you figure out how to position your elbows and get comfortable with it, he said that actually steering with motion on the controller feels natural. And he said, for the people out there who don't want to invest in a wheel or, just don't want to go down that whole road or whatever else, and maybe they don't like the stick controls, they have a hard time with it while racing. He said, try this mode because I had an absolute blast with it. Yeah. And he said it was actually really impressive. He was shocked. He said, I didn't expect anything from it. And he goes, I was impressed by how good it was. That's a cool little feature. Not saying I would use it, but it's a cool little feature to have in there. And if it's that good, who knows? Maybe it would be something that adds a little bit to it. Mav, real quick, I just want you to get your thoughts on this, though, because you brought up something interesting, and I know you'd been thinking about it. We're seeing the return of fighting games this gen.
Yes.
And you talked about, you made the statement that you thought maybe the return of racing games. Look, golden age of gaming is here. We're seeing the return of old IP coming back for the first time in over a generation. We're seeing the resurrection of different titles that we never thought in a million years would come about. We're seeing the return in some ways of what seemingly feels like the return of fighting genre this generation. More people are playing video games than ever before, and the industry is responding by trying to give us more content than we've had in a very long time, going back to the 360 PS3 era, where it seemed like we had just games coming out of our pores and all different types of crazy games that we never thought would be made. But really, the return of the fighting genre, is it the return of the racing genre? Because Mav, we're getting Gran Turismo 7 this year. Right, we've seen the success of a Dirt 5. We obviously saw the extreme success of Forza Horizon 5, which we spoke about multiple times already during this show here and so many times before. But we're getting Gran Turismo 7. We may be getting a new Forza Motorsport this year. We're also getting Test Drive Solar Crown, a new test drive, an IP that goes back to early days for me on the PC when my buddies had PCs and I go play Test Drive. Like, bro, Test Drive's been gone for a while. Test Drive Unlimited was the last one. I had a great time with Test Drive Unlimited back in the day, but we're seeing the return of Test Drive Unlimited. I mean, look, it wouldn't shock me, Mav, if all of a sudden out of the blue in the next couple of years, we hear Tokyo Extreme Racer is coming back.
Don't do that to me. Don't you dare do that to me.
That would be the cherry on top of all of this, right? But look, it does seem like we're getting more, like car games are coming back in. I think Cruisin' USA came out with a new title this year for Switch.
Yeah.
Right? The new Cruisin' USA title came out. Jeff Grubb absolutely loved it, said it was a blast. So again, not all the same. We got sim, we got arcade, we got fun. But are we seeing kind of the return of racers? What do you think, Mav? You think this generation is going to see that?
Yeah, I think we've had like the last generation, like Forza's kind of just held it down.
Yeah.
Right. And even Forza in and of itself, like Horizon started taking off, right, and doing better and better. And Motorsport's been kind of, and not necessarily declining sales wise, but just declining, like as far as
popularity,
the popularity, and like I think people kind of got used to the every other year thing a little too much. Like there's always something with Forza every year, and it got taken for granted, right? And I think
Need for Speed fell off.
I think they stopped putting as much work into their career modes and stuff like that, and which is that's my biggest thing. I'm not guys, again, not slandering Forza. I love Forza Motorsport. It is my favorite racing franchise. Period.
You would just sacrifice it to keep Gran Turismo.
If Gran Turismo would come back and be what it used to be, right? Then I like Gran Turismo used to be my God damn it. Okay, so Gran Turismo back in the day, early like PlayStation days, you can't touch that for me, right? That's the
Right.
best racing experience I've had, right? Because of those reasons I explained with the grinding aspect and all that stuff, right? Because that's like an experience that I had with that game that you just can't replicate. Forza Motorsports lost that with the career mode. Okay, they had it stronger early on, and it got too much. Like I put it in the chat, it's like they're throwing cars at you like beads at Mardi Gras, right? Anybody that wants a car, hey, you get a car. It's like we're all at a Oprah Winfrey live viewing, right? We all get a car, we all get something. You know, every time we do something, hey, I finished half of a race, then stop the race in the middle of it and give somebody a free car. You know, like I want to work at least a little bit to get my rewards, you know, slot machines and stuff and motorsport and that kind of crap. I mean, like that's fine for Horizon, you know, but like let's keep motorsport hardcore sim racing game, please. That's all I'm asking. Okay.
Or at least put the mode in there. I think they could put the mode in there where you could do it that way.
Yes. No, I agree because not everybody wants that. Right. But like, Forza for me has the best racing, best graphics, best physics out of anybody, right? Best vinyl customization, all that stuff. So it still wins out, right? This is what I want to see from Forza Motorsport, and I have to acknowledge the flaws that it's had for me in order to hope for them to improve and do more, right? And but regardless, Forza's been holding it down last generation, right? Last generation, that's all we really had. I mean, Need for Speed plummeted to nothingness again. We had several Need for Speed games that came out. Nobody really played them. They had a lot of marketing, and they just kind of fizzled out into nothingness, right? You had Grid was doing okay. Like they had a couple games. You know, you had Dirt. Dirt kind of took off and was doing pretty well, but it's not like the 360 days where we had like Midnight Club Los Angeles and we had like the Forza. We had Forza then. Then you Need for Speed Underground and. You know,
don't forget the crew, Mav. Don't forget the crew.
Oh, the crew, yeah. Test Drive Unlimited, even. I mean, there was some racing games back then that were like, and even you can go into the arcade racing games like Blur. You know, they had Split Second. You know, you had a lot of different stuff come out, and then it's kind of like they stopped being able to figure out ways to make new racing games different. So they just kind of, I don't know. You had companies start to try and get into it, like. You know, Codemasters really started doing a lot. You know, they have Project Cars, and you know, you got Grid, and you have what's the other games that the Dirt. Actually, they were doing Dirt, right? So
yeah, they're doing Dirt.
They were pretty much holding it down as well, I guess, between them and Forza. But it's still not like the old days. Like I really feel like the
Burnouts.
Burnouts. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I really feel like in order for the racing genre to be at its peak and be successful again, as much as it was, I think Forza and Gran Turismo have to hold down the fort with the simulation racing and be like, wow, right? Because that's what they were back then. Those came out and it was like, wow, you know, like we've never seen anything like this before. You know, they got to hold that down. Then you need some arcade racers like Forza Horizon 5, which has proven to be successful, come out from multi-platform companies that are going to be successful, because you can't just rely on the first party stuff, right? We need for Speed to make a triumphant return and release a really freaking good game. And maybe Codemasters will be the answer to that. But EA really has to figure that out and release like Need for Speed Underground reboot or something, right?
Go back to your core.
Yes,
like we were talking about, Mav. Go back to the
Need
core.
for Speed Hot Pursuit. You know, Need for Speed Underground. Like, give us what we want, right? And stop playing around with all this stuff and really do it and do it big. And the part of it is putting the investment of the time and resources to make it something special. Because you can't just like, okay, we're going to make a Need for Speed game. Let's work on it for 2 years, put it out, and hope it catches. Right? We're past that. You can't do that these days and have a huge smash hit. And that's what they relegated the fighting genre to. That's what they relegated the racing genre to, is lower budget, less investment. Let's just get one of these out. We need to make another Need for Speed. We need to make another one of these. We need to make another one of these. Let's see if this one works. Let's see if this one works. You know, and really, and not going all in and just being like, hey, we're going to make the best freaking Need for Speed game we've ever made before in our company's history. We're going to do that. It may take us 4 years. It may take us a lot of money, but we're going to recapture that audience and make it bigger and better than ever before, right? That's what they got to do. I'm hoping it's going to happen because the investment this generation is huge. And there's been rumors companies like 2K are making Midnight Club again.
Midnight
right?
Club. I was going to bring it up.
If that happens, is EA with their investment, and there's a reason they went out and got Codemasters, right? It wasn't just for Grid Legends.
And it's a reason why Take-Two wanted Codemasters.
Yes. It's not just for Grid Legends. It's not just for any of these things. They want the next big, huge racing franchise. They want the next big, huge racing game. I'm thinking it's going to happen, man. I'm thinking like Need for Speed is going to come back big and strong. We know that they were set to come out with it, but they took Criterion off to help with Battlefield. And we'll see how that turned out. However, like maybe with Codemasters and everything coming in there, maybe they're going to put more work into it and take more time, because we still haven't gotten an announcement of anything Need for Speed related, right? So I feel like that needs to come back. I'm hoping this test drive Solar Crown game is going to be good. Crew never did it for me. The racing kind of sucked.
Me too. Kids liked it. Both my kid and the wife's youngest loved Crew. And I was like, no. I mean, too much.
It's a really cool concept. I love that, but I would really, instead of focus on the whole US or the whole whatever, nail down a city. Right? Like I haven't seen this really done well. The closest example is Midnight Club Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this day and age, now, what they could do if they took a city, an actual city, doesn't matter where in the world, okay? Just some place that is well known, has a beautiful skyline, is known for its highways, right? You come out there and you make an arcade racing game built around a gorgeous place like that, to race and have a playground in. It's gonna take off, but you got to have the bright developers, you got to have the bright know-how, you got to have the bright people making it, right? So, I'm excited to see this generation. I think it could be a return. We'll see how well Gran Turismo sells. That's gonna be a big thing, because a lot of people in the industry are probably gonna be watching that, I think. As well as Forza Motorsport if it launches this year. And then whenever Codemasters' big next game comes out, Grid Legends just launched. Nobody's talking about it. I tried it out. There's a 10-hour trial. There's a 10-hour trial if you're a Game Pass Ultimate member on EA Play on Xbox. You can play Grid Legends right now for free. You can try it. I tried it. It's really good, actually. It's not like, wow, but it was really good. I want to see where they go from here. I'm waiting for that next big arcade experience. We're missing anything like Need for Speed or Midnight Club out there. It doesn't exist in the genre.
No, it doesn't.
And that's sad.
But yeah, that's why I'm hoping to come back for sure.
Shout out to Silent Cypher. Thanks, Brian, for the $5 super chat. He says, "Love me some Forza Mardi Gras beads, Mav." Yeah. I'm sure I love those in Horizon. I love the Mardi Gras cars thrown at me left and right in Horizon. It's not motorsport, right?
Oh God, that's awesome. I think, look, to your point about the city driving, I think the first test is going to be Test Drive Solar Crown. As much as under the radar that it is, it's in Hong Kong, right? And if they do it right and they prove that they could do it, then I think some of these other people And if a Midnight Club is coming back for real, obviously we know Rockstar knows how to do cities.
Yeah.
So that should be well done. But yeah, that city racing, I mean, we get to experience a little bit, but not to the degree that we used to. And I think that is missing. Like you said, there is some parts of that genre that have disappeared that don't seem to come back. Again, like you were kidding about, but Bandai Namco, bring back Ridge Racer.
Yes,
Ridge Racer.
Why not?
Bring
There's
back
nothing out there like it, right? So
no, it was a totally different. That's the whole thing I think that we're getting at here, Matt. As both you and I talk about the history, is how diverse the racing genre was. It wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah, you could still classify it as sim and arcade, but that arcade style racer had so many different things.
Yep.
Like again, Split Second and Blur, completely different from anything else on the market, right? Sure, they had touches of other games in there, a lot, like Burnout and that kind of stuff too, that had done it beforehand, but they took it to a whole nother level. Again, the set pieces that Split Second had in there as you were driving around, my God, it felt like an action movie half the time you were playing that game. It was so crazy and chaotic. It was unbelievable, and yet felt so good. Even back in that day, the controls were so tight because they had to be in split second because you were navigating some crazy, outrageous situations. Again, we don't see that even in this day and age. And to have that stuff come back, like you said, with current gen technology, low latency that we have on controllers now, racing is primed to make this return.
Yeah.
Funny enough, Matt, while you were talking to, I was looking up Tokyo Extreme Racer. It's the IP's owned by Genki.
Yeah, I've been looking into this for a while now, so I'm
familiar.
familiar.
It's out there still, Matt, but it's mobile now.
Yeah,
they've got mobile games. So
yeah,
Genki,
I forget it's called something else. Like it's something.
They just dropped it down to extreme. Basically, there's a Japanese.
Right.
There's a bunch of different names they've used. A bunch of different because it's been mostly just Eastern. Like they have not even brought it West at all. So it's been like crazy Japanese stuff. But man, Genki, look, it's time. Bring back Tokyo Extreme Racer to consoles. I'm telling you, people will eat that up. You bring back that old style with current cars, and you add the multiplayer to it, where I can be driving around and flash my lights at somebody and we're racing at night. Look, there's no experience like that out there. I know Forza, you can challenge people and all that kind of stuff. Not the same as Tokyo Extreme Racer, racing pure highways through the night with all the lights in the city in the background, and then traveling through the city and all the different on-ramps, off-ramps of a freeway wide open. Oh man, bring back Tokyo Extreme Racer. We need it.
I was a teenager once and a foolish kid. I've had my time out there messing around in the streets back then, and I'll tell you, there's no game that captured that essence to me,
right? Like
Tokyo Extreme Racer, right?
Correct.
Need for Speed Underground came close, right?
Right.
But just the pure aspect of it's just hardcore racing. It's me and that other car and that asshole that's driving that car. I want to beat him so bad. And you flash your lights, and the way that game was structured was so unique, right?
Correct. The bosses.
Yeah.
And the cheap bosses. Oh, there was no better feeling than putting one of those cheap bosses when you're going through the tunnel map.
Yeah, into the center pylon. Yeah. That's how I beat Speed King, and that 280Z or whatever he was driving.
Yep, it was a 280Z.
Yep. That asshole, like in that Datsun, he's just like, man, that car was so fast, dude. I remember the first time I raced him, I was like, holy shit, how am I supposed to beat this guy? Right, and eventually you just keep doing it. It's like such a hardcore experience. You just keep doing it. Eventually,
it was a Souls car experience.
It was. Yeah, eventually I put his ass into the center column, right? And I was like, yes, and you get that as much distance as you possibly can in that time because you need it. Don't mess up. Don't mess up, right?
And they had ketchup back then too, man.
Oh, yeah.
So they were
rubber banding big time.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time. Oh, man, we could go on and on about Tokyo Extreme Racer. God, it was so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
amazing.
Bring it back.
There was a sequel on PlayStation too.
Yep, there was.
It wasn't as good, though.
No, the Dreamcast version was king by far. Oh, God, just such a fantastic time. And yes, Bearded Banga, A new driver, also that genre of racing would be amazing. The getaway, the getaway driver style. That driver was an awesome game. They should try that as well. This again, we're in the golden age. Look, we got so many ideas. We got $1 million ideas, but we've got so many games being made right now. I don't know if there's enough companies to make all of our dreams and wishes come true. But I hope that they go back and explore some of the old libraries like we've seen already and that we've heard about. I hope they continue to go back. But the driving sector, especially, I think there's a newfound love of car racing games again. Like we've talked about, there's just so many new people playing video games. There's a whole new fan base just waiting to be discovered out there for some of these titles that have been forgotten. So bring them back. Let's do it.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
Does Activision Blizzard own any old racing IPs? I wonder.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of when I look through their list. I don't think they have any racing games at all.
I wonder if Project...
No, wait, did they...
If Project Gotham Racing, does Microsoft still own that, or is...
Yes, they do. People have been asking for that PGR to come back.
Yeah.
So
I want to go earn some kudos. Let's go.
Kudos. Yeah, God, did they have Blur or Split Second in there?
Oh, Blur. Yeah, I think they did have Blur.
Yeah, I think they had Blur. Blur is one of them that they do own. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct. Blur is in there. So there is the potential.
That could be Xbox's kart-like racer. I mean, it had a kart racing aspect. It's not a kart racer, but it had the same, like, you fire stuff and take out your enemies while you're driving and stuff like that. Exactly. Anyway, so great conversation, man. Bringing back the memories. Let's go racing. Yeah, I could talk to you for an hour just about Tokyo Extreme Racer, dude. Dude, it's so good. I didn't know you loved it that much.
It's just so funny that we both have this like the same memory too of putting that boss in the center column. Oh my God, because it's the only way you could do it. You had your one shot. If you missed that opportunity, he was gone again from you, and it was near impossible to catch him. Near impossible.
And the car's badass at night with like the neon and stuff. And could you imagine playing that game like today's day and age with the Tokyo skyline and stuff? What they could do?
Oh, like a cyberpunk city. Oh my God, man! Just think about how beautiful that would look. Oh. God,
that's why I keep hoping Forza Horizon will go into a city.
Yep,
like
that would be great.
That'd be amazing.
It has to.
Yeah,
it would. It should. That's their next step, right? At least part time. I mean, again, you can have all the outside, but bring it into a fully realized city. I mean, I think they could.
Yeah, and not like a cruise city where it's like a few buildings. To make up a city. I'm talking about a city, fully realized
city. Yep, neighborhoods. Man, driving to the big city. Oh man, you could have so much fun throughout there, man. Oh God, so many different paths you could take. Oh, see, we could just go on forever. Yeah. There's so much room for growth, even though racing games.
Another one I just remembered that was amazing back then. Rush 2049.
Oh, yeah, Rush 2049. Yep, that was another great one. Good call.
So great.
God, see, we got so many. There was so many games. There's so much diversity of gaming. It's crazy. I hope we're getting back to that. I see signs of it. Again, so many lost, forgotten titles.
Yeah, because all these publishers became like one or two franchise publishers. They stopped putting out all the different titles,
But they were all trying new things, which was awesome. They were trying new things because gaming was exploding at that time. Mm-hmm. Like we're seeing explode now. That was the first explosion back then, where there was a whole new group of people playing video games that never had before, in part because of Halo and Xbox. There was this brand new explosion where a lot of the bullies that would have bullied me back in the day for playing video games were now playing video games and discovering them. So all these companies were trying all this new stuff. That's what I hope we're seeing again here. And there are signs of it during this time that's exactly what's going to happen. So bring it on, man. All right. So, Matt, we are over the 2-hour mark. Do you want to get into the last small topic about Uncle Phil and his comments about toxicity?
Let's go. And hey, everybody, I appreciate it if you hit the like button. We're 2 hit likes away from 50. If we hit 50, maybe more people will find out about our awesome little channel here called Fun Speculation. Let's see. See if we can make
a lot of people. Yeah, let's make that happen because it is an important part. Like Mav and I don't do the business side of things, but it is important. And again, it doesn't take 2 seconds. Just hit that like button, share it out, let everybody know that we're here. Look, a lot of new people have jumped in here too. Rick Payne, I see you, brother. It's Timmy is here. Psycho Knots, of course, jumping in here. Silent Cipher is in the house. I already shouted out Bearda Banga. Who else we got in here? I saw a lot of new people. General Spartan is showing up, of course. Who else we got in here? I got a lot of people from before too. Fuzzy, Belvedere, brother, you jumped in here as well. Great to see you. Of course, he knew we were going to be talking about racing games, so he had to jump in.
Yep.
the king of racing games. Matty Byrnes is in the house. Nick's showed up here as well. Man, so many great people. Just Key, brother, great to see you as well, jumping in here. Man, thank you all for being here. Boba Fett Gaming, I see you. UK Lad, I see you. Look, thank you all for being here. Depka, awesome for you joining us. Pixel Bit G, always, brother, a great time having you in the house as well. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We've had a great show. We're going to end this on a small little topic here. Phil Spencer, he got the big award this week that we had talked about, Mav, on other shows. Accepting the big Dice award from the Dice, not the Dice like the developer Dice. This is he got the Lifetime Achievement Award at Dice 2022, which is a big giant deal. Again, Phil deserved it. It's only been given out a handful of times to people, but Phil's impact on this gaming industry, again, we could talk about that for hours as to what he's done, not just for Xbox and saving, or what we believe to be a pivotal moment in which he saved Xbox from the point of sinking, but also what he's done for gaming industry as a whole. He was being interviewed afterwards, of course, and he was asked by IGN about how the gaming community should treat developers with dignity and respect. And his quote was, "Keep playing, keep using your voice, understand the power of creativity, the power of community." And the other thing I would just say is, let's respect creators. I think it's very often that creations can kind of be weaponized and used in battles between platforms and other things. I look at everybody who is brave enough to create something, put it out, have their peers and the industry players play and analyze and talk about what they do. And let's just celebrate the fact that so many great games are coming out from so many creators, and realize that's such a foundation realize that's such a foundation for where this industry is going to go. So he kind of spoke on a couple different levels here. He talked about the developers and treating the developers, but he kind of spoke to the console war as well, Mav, as we know, the circus and the clowns and everybody out here doing stuff. But there's a lot of people who don't even console war that have been kind of snowballed into things where they interact with a developer, right? And they interact with a creator, and whether they know it or not, they push that envelope and they get to the point where it's like, hey, you need to take a step back here. You need to realize you're speaking to a person. A lot of times they forget that. Again, big problem with social media is there's no boundaries, right? Or this, and also the sense of entitlement that comes along with everything. We believe we're entitled to answers. We're entitled to games. We're entitled to people's time, no matter who they are. Mav, when you hear Phil talk about this, and again, Phil, this isn't the first time. Phil's been out in front with this. Again, he got the nickname Kumbaya Phil for a lot of reasons, right? What are you laughing about?
I can't help it. Psycho sent me this thing in the DMs, and it's like,
oh God,
it's like, this is the most horrible time to bring this up, dude, because we're talking about not criticizing developers too much. And all that stuff.
You're talking about that stuff that's going around today about Gran Turismo 7.
The Verge just posted this.
Yes, The Verge.
Yeah. I gotta show it on the thing. I'm sorry, like this is just making me crack up. So this article from The Verge is talking about the amazing graphics, but they do say that the people are very interesting on the sides, and you can they're kind of jarring. So they shout out to The Verge, and he said he took all of these pictures on his PS5 snapshot mode.
Cameron Faulkner is the writer of this, by the way.
So I don't know if you can.
I saw these earlier. I saw these earlier.
I mean, I was
people
like
were
dying.
comparing, people were comparing this to Forza Horizon 5 people, and obviously Forza Horizon 5 looks a whole lot better than this. This does look like PS2 days. I mean, we can almost count the triangles in this person.
It's not even like
back.
how bad the polygons are. It's just the like awkwardness of it to me. It's like
how they're sitting with their hands
like,
up, and
this girl looks so disappointed.
Distraught.
And this
like,
guy is like
here?
Celebrating next to her.
Yeah, correct.
And you got Terminator over here.
Right. Exactly.
Like, are these the developers like in disguise? You know, that's what I'm wondering.
It is like you said, it's more so because it's like jarring next to the cars.
This guy's great.
How detailed the cars are. Which one?
You got the guy with his hands up like this.
Correct. Correct.
I'm sorry.
So
you got, is that Hideo Kojima?
No.
Okay.
That is definitely not Kojima. I don't
okay, I'm sorry.
So anyways,
my bad. Let's get back to not making fun of developers.
I won't give it. No, we're not making fun of developers. It is what it is. It's graphics. So anyways, man. So Phil has talked about this in the past. He's been out front about this. Again, kumbaya, Phil, all this good stuff. More often than not, when he makes these quotes, I said it last night on GPTV, more often than not, when he says these quotes, he's well-intentioned and he means it. And this is his philosophy, right? And he truly stands by this. But more often than not, this becomes more of a battle cry for the console warriors.
Yeah.
And they actually go they lean heavier into it just because Phil had the guts to come out and say something about it. Right. But look, we know, Mav, we've seen it. There was an example just this past week where the rumors of New Vegas 2 came out and people were hitting Josh Sawyer from Obsidian, who he was, he's big time. He's been around the game for a long time. He's one of the prime developers of New Vegas 2, one of the masterminds behind it. And he's working on his own project at Obsidian right now. It's his baby that he's working on that we've heard is a smaller project, but we're supposed to be seeing it soon. But people started hitting him up like nonstop into the DMs to the point where he said, by Twitter, I need to get off. Like, it's like, I'm overwhelmed. Like I can't handle all these DMs asking me about New Vegas 2. Like, again, goes back to entitlement. Like, you honestly think that a dev like Josh Sawyer, you're just going to hit him up in the DMs or hit him up on Twitter and he's going to be like, oh yeah, we're making New Vegas 2. Let me show you the plot. Let me bring you behind the scenes. Let me show you some game footage of what we've got early on here. You think that's just going to happen? I mean, it's just examples like that. I mean, we've seen the death threats, obviously, Mav. We've seen horrible responses with the whole Stalker 2 news and the devs over there in Ukraine. We've seen people celebrating that it's going to be delayed. I mean, these are real people behind the monitors, right? And it just goes up and beyond. It feels just saying, look, we need to respect, like we talk about, Mav. We're in the golden age. We're getting more content, more games than we ever had before. I don't care what you play on. I don't care, again, if you're playing Candy Crush every day on a phone, you're still a gamer to me. And if you love it, celebrate it. Like, this should be a time of celebration, no matter what you're playing on, no matter what you're enjoying. And yet every day we see it in the community, tearing down other players or tearing down directly the devs that are involved with games, or if a game's delayed, Mav, your overall feelings on this. I mean, obviously we both can agree that Phil's got the right heart here, and it's good that he's speaking out about it. Unfortunately, the circus takes it in another direction all the time. What do you think, Mav? I mean, is it time for everybody to take a serious look at themselves in the mirror and take a step back and really, really, again, I hate the touch grass thing because it's been overplayed now, but whatever, touch grass and really realize what's important here?
Absolutely. I mean, this is all about stuff that we love, and it's about having fun with it, right? Like, I think a lot of people take this stuff too seriously. I mean, it's one thing you're having fun making jokes and all this stuff, right? But when you actually take it to like serious and personal levels, a lot of times, like, it's like gross, disturbing. And you see it like, and it's not just with gaming. I mean, it's with a lot of things, right? it goes into social media and how it makes people be able to hide behind like a name that is meaningless, right?
We see it in fantasy sports now, Mav.
Yeah.
We see players getting bombarded when they're injured because they're
Yeah.
killing fantasy teams, right?
Even teams, fans of just a team, or going against other players and on other teams, or I mean, you could literally go with almost anything out there. Movie fans. I mean, there's a lot of toxic people that have a lot of deep issues, right? And they use social media as their outlet and a way to take their like frustrations in life and their like self lists, but their self, like, I don't know, the self shittiness that they have feeling about themselves. I don't know how to say it, right? They just feel so shitty about themselves that they feel like the only way to really cope is to try and make other people feel shitty, right? And to try and make other people bring everybody down to their level. Like, it's not fair that everybody else gets to be happy because I feel like shit, right? And a lot of people are using social media as an outlet for that, and I think it's like really just it's a human thing, man. It's like, it's gross. Like, I don't know I don't know like how to fix it. That's the thing. But people have lost the ability, a large amount of people have lost the ability just to look at things and accept that other people like things for what they are, and you don't have to like it too, right? And because you don't like something, or like you're not interested in it, doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean that everybody that else that likes it is stupid. It doesn't mean if you're excited for something and it gets delayed, it doesn't mean that the person making it is lazy, or that they are bad at their job, or that they're like trying to screw you over, right? There's a lot of things that people just feel like way too serious about this shit, you know? And all this stuff is usually discussing things that we're just passionate about. That's like a luxury that we even get to enjoy in the first place. Like, we have the option to buy or to watch or not, but it's not like we're guaranteed to ever have any of this stuff. It's made by people for business purposes in order for entertainment purposes, and it's our decision whether to enjoy it or not. They don't owe us anything, and we don't owe them anything. Right? Like, the only thing they owe us is if we do buy their product to actually have good value in that product. Right? The only thing that you owe them, and everybody out there should owe them, is just self-respect of the people that are actually behind it. And because it's behind a brand, people forget that there's people behind that brand, right? Like, you can affect people. I saw, like, for example, Hogue Law, right? He had made some videos. People started going and like review bombing his business, leaving like bad reviews on his personal business. That affects his family, his big mistake, right? It affects his family, his finances, his livelihood, because you don't like his opinion about a freaking video game? You trying to like damage somebody's life because you don't like his opinion about a company? People got issues, man. Like, have some respect for everybody. I 100% agree with Phil Spencer here. It's okay. We're going to all have fun, right? Like, poke fun at things, like joke around things. You can make meme jokes. I do jokes all the time, right? But when you take it like serious, like personal shit, and you start doing like really toxic stuff, you got to get your head checked. Even people have done stuff to our channel, right? And we're like a small audience, right? It doesn't take much to become a target. It doesn't take much to become a target of some disturbed individuals out there, right? And the bigger and more successful you are, these developers, these publishers, these athletes, or whatever whatever it fits into, whatever category, the bigger target they become for those disturbed individuals. So I don't honestly, because of mental health issues and all this kind of stuff, and just weird ignorance and immaturity. I don't know if there's actually a real answer. I hope there is at some point, but I think what Phil says is accurate. I think it would be nice if that stuff could change. But I don't know. I was even talking to somebody and they said like that exists in the wrestling community.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, what? Really? You know, like everything. Just like people need to chill, right? This is stuff that we love. Like when a game comes out and it has bugs and stuff too, like people like will go, oh my, like way too overboard with this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's not good, right? Like they need to fix this stuff, but like you don't need to attack the devs and send them like hateful messages and all this stuff to, you know, like chill out. Everybody chill out. You know, that's what Phil should just say, chill. You know, like Aaron Rodgers said, like to his fan base before they, in the year they won the Super Bowl, they went like 0-3, and he was like, relax, RELAX, relax. I hate Aaron Rodgers; he's a douchebag. But otherwise, that's good advice. Relax. You know, we're all playing games, stuff we love, enjoying products we love, talking about entertainment we love. You know, like it doesn't have to get personal. Never does. Anyway.
No, and Psycho and iMill, yeah, you're absolutely right. You can criticize, and we should criticize, but there's a point and there's a line that crosses. And people, again, nowadays, like Mav said, they don't, like some people I know for a fact do it on purpose. Because like Mav said, it's part of their personality for whatever reason, whether they hate themselves, they hate their life, they just are a negative person, whether they're just a professional troll and they feed their ego, even with negative energy, whatever the case may be, like there's some people that just do it on purpose. There's a whole nother group of people that because they grew up in a socially online setting only. Whereas us, we grew up without the internet. Okay. Because they grew up anonymous online and they've seen other people be terrible human beings to other human beings for a long time, that's what they've been shown as the way to do things online. They don't realize that it's wrong and they just do it, right? And then you, like Mav said, mental instability, all that kind of stuff plays into it. Well, you got that whole section of people that are now online as well. And unfortunately, sometimes that bleeds over into their interactions with other people. There's a whole group and a whole range of things happening here. But at the end of the day, we've all got to get back to just realizing that it's all human beings. Just because we connect this way, just because I've never physically been in the presence of Mav, right? We met online. I've seen him because we do these shows.
I can still feel your presence.
Right. But again, just because I haven't had that personal interaction physically, right? Just him and I together in the same room, that does not mean he's any less of a human being. And every single game has hundreds, if not thousands, sometimes smaller teams, sure, indie devs especially. But you're talking about human beings who put their heart and soul into these games. I can guarantee you, 99.9% of devs out there have never walked into their office or wherever they've been at and sat down in front of the computer and said, I'm going to make a broken game today. That's not what they try to do, right? Ever. All those cyberpunk devs that worked for nearly 7 years on cyberpunk weren't showing up at CD Projekt Red every day going, God, I can't wait to break something else in this game. So when it comes out, it's absolutely horrible. No, that's not what happens 99.9% of the time. Now, are there examples where we could probably say, well, maybe they tried to fleece the customer and they probably knew, you know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Well, the weird thing is a lot of these people that criticize and go personal against people don't ever even bring up when those things happen. Those things like the obvious, like anti-consumer stuff is like, oh, that's okay. Yeah, well, let's make an excuse for that because it's necessary now or whatever. And like they believe in that and completely like that's a whole business thing. And it's weird, man.
Right.
It's weird how people just will like whatever fits their like war mentality of their arsenal that they're trying to build for their war chest of opinions, you know, is like they're gonna use it regardless of what it is, and if it doesn't fit into that category, it gets a pass. You know, it's crazy.
Course.
It's absolutely crazy. Nintendo. That's all I gotta say. Nintendo.
Yep.
$70. There's several different aspects of things we can talk about with this whole with the business models and all these things, and people just ignore it and be like, "Oh, that's no big deal. Yeah, it is what it is. It's just the way they do things. It's okay." You know, but then you're gonna like send a death threat, or like you're gonna like go at like a developer, or like go after somebody because they like didn't have a difficulty setting that you like in a game, or like because you had a glitch. Right now, criticizing for bugs, hey, 100%. We criticize a lot, right? Also say, hey, sometimes things aren't as bad as the masses make it seem. Because when you have a million people screaming about smaller things, it seems like a much bigger issue than it necessarily is, right? So that happens too, and bandwagoning can be a huge thing. Right now, everybody's bandwagoning Elden Ring is good, right?
Right.
But it could have gone that very opposite direction because the mass noise of social media really will make or break things for a lot of companies, right? So
exactly. And there's just a way to make your point, right? And like Joe Dubs 35, that's exactly what you should do. What I do is criticize on what I don't like. If they don't change, I just vote with my wallet.
Yep.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. At the end of the day, you just walk away, but there's a point that you cross the line. Harping over and over again, bullying, becoming to the point where you're getting personal with somebody because you don't believe your opinion is mattering, or you don't believe that they've taken your feedback. Look, you have to understand that this is still a business for a lot of different reasons. And when that business kicks in, it's not personal anymore. And you have to understand that. Again, my criticism of Star Wars runs deep. Since Disney has taken over, I do not like what they've done. But I'm not going to sit here day after day harping online to all the producers and whoever I can find and naming names and getting personal with people. I have chosen for myself just to not spend money on Star Wars anymore unless it's something that I look at and say, hey, I'm going to enjoy this, right? That's how you do it. You can criticize. I've said my piece about Star Wars. Nobody's going to hear me. It doesn't matter. Even if I went on a Star Wars forum, there's 1 billion people on Star Wars forums. My little opinion isn't going to matter at the end of the day, but I've voiced my criticisms whenever I talk about it. But at the end of the day, I've chosen just not to spend my money. I'll go find something else that I enjoy. If it's no longer there at that one thing that I truly loved, again, so be it. But you don't get personal with other human beings over a non-personal situation. A video game is not personal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like
personal. It's personal for the dev who made it. It's personal for the devs who worked on it because they poured their heart and soul into it. But it's certainly not personal against you because the game came out broken, or because they didn't put in what you exactly wanted, or a mechanic doesn't work the way you want, or whatever the case, you don't like a game. They didn't personally choose Joe Blow and say, hey, guess what? We're going to screw you over. I'm not making a game the way you wanted to just because you said something on Twitter. That's not personal like that.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not personal. So why get personal with those people back? Again,
I feel like our chat is like a misunderstanding a little bit of where we're coming from. We're not saying like bugs are okay and you can't criticize publishers and also studios.
Yeah.
We're talking about individuals behind this stuff, right? Like criticizing bugs and stuff is a very important aspect of making sure that they hear about the problems. There's a lot of ways to do that don't involve personally attacking people.
Correct.
Right? That is where the level of respect is coming from that Phil was speaking about. It's not putting out there and acknowledging that bugs exist and that, hey, fix your game, you know, like, hey, what's wrong with this? Hey, why is this happening? And posting videos and pictures, all that stuff's fine. Right? You know, like there's not anybody out there saying, hey, just accept whatever they give to us and it'd be glad you got it, you know? Like, that's not what this is. What it is personal attacks. Personally. Like, that's never okay.
Right.
Anybody that thinks that's okay I don't have any. I would rather not ever have any. I block those people. Right. Like I mute those people. I block those people. I don't talk to those people. You don't go after people personally for something that a company that they work for did, or a product that they put out. Right.
And Matt, and the second part of that, the example I already gave up was Josh Sawyer. It wasn't necessarily people were attacking him personally, but you're not entitled in any way, shape, or form to information at all, right? You're not entitled to that. You just because you're a fan of Fallout New Vegas does not mean that you go and sit there and bombard Josh Sawyer asking him about a rumor, again, that everybody has prefaced is just a rumor. Grubb said, look, it's just something I heard that's happening internally, is that the words New Vegas 2 have been spoken and that there's been some basic talk about it. To go and bombard Josh Sawyer's Twitter account, whether at him or whether through his DMs, and expect that you're going to get an answer from him, that you're entitled to an answer from Josh Sawyer with all that he's got going on. Give me a break, folks. Again, it doesn't always have to be like extreme toxicity. Just understand that he's a human being who has a life. He hops on Twitter to probably check out stuff that he's interested in. The last thing he wants to see is thousands of DMs about New Vegas 2, about a rumor that he had nothing to do with, didn't start, that happens in this industry. That, again, that can be a point of contention too. Again, you're not entitled to anybody's time. You're not entitled to anybody's answers. Again, you can criticize. Yes, the company as a whole should respond and say, hey, these are the bugs that we see. These are the bugs that we're fixing. We've seen this with 343, et cetera, that have come out. Acknowledge them as their spokesmen are supposed to do, whether it's their community manager or whatever else. But then I've seen people go after community managers whose only job is to just supply information to the fans online. They have no control over what's happening. And I've seen community managers attacked because they don't have more information, or they're not giving the information that people want, or the responses that people want. That's where it crosses the line. And that's what Phil's talking about here. Again, just respect the fact of the other person's humanity on the other side of the screen, or whatever the case may be. Respect that that person is a person with feelings, with family, with real life stuff going on. And again, talking specifically about this space and this community, this is video games, people. This is a hobby to enjoy. If something's wrong and you're not enjoying it anymore, it's time to find something else to go fulfill that, right? At the end of the day, that's what it's about. You taking control of yourself, controlling what you control, which is you. You can't control billion dollar organizations. You can't, no matter how much you'd love to. At the end of the day, it's you. You get to control you. So go find something else that makes it happy. Go walk away from it. Go find a new game. Go
no,
do
Pong,
something.
what they're going to do is they're going to make sure that developer knows exactly how they feel.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, those people need Zima and Chill. You're right, Joe Dubs 35. We need to bring Zima back in full force because everybody needs a Zima. That's right. I agree.
I wonder if like there was one universal like social account for everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like okay, this is you online. Point blank, period. Everything you do online is associated and it's tracked back to your real identity. Would we see a difference online at that point with how people act?
Personally, I'd be totally against that.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Privacy issues, I'd be totally against that. But yes, man.
I'm just saying, right? But it's the anonymity of it that people feel like.
It'd be the same thing as if the government put cameras in all of our homes. Do you think right? So yeah, you're correct. If something like that existed, a database, everybody.
If I could know who like Pony Rager 816 is, you know what I mean? Like actual name.
Why he got to be Pony Rager?
I don't know.
Really?
You know, like if I could know who like Kratos sucks 666. I don't know. Oh, Kratos sucks 666 dicks. I don't know. I'm just making up. I'm just making up random gamer tags or Twitter handles right
into
here.
Your head right now. Man. These names are
like if I can find out who owns those accounts, like their actual identity is, you know, and find out they're like the social, or that they're like the manager at the local Chili's.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yes, it would make a total difference.
Yeah, would it make a difference? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that being
exactly.
said, I'm against it too, because that would be really weird.
Yeah, social credit score, no thank you. You're absolutely right, Joe.
Yeah, no.
Joe and Alvin, absolutely not. Totally against any of this that Mav is
that
saying.
Exist, a social credit score? Like,
yes, China has a social credit score.
Oh my God.
They're trying to develop. It's going to go world. We're not going to get into that because that's a whole other rabbit hole. But anyways, yes. No,
well,
absolutely not.
Everybody who watches our content regularly knows my real name.
Let's just put it this way. Let's put it a better way, Mav. If everybody had to show up and read their tweets in person,
like a Jimmy Kimmel,
yes,
mean tweets. Yeah.
If you had to show up in person and read your tweets to whoever you were talking to, would that change? Absolutely, it would. Yes, if everybody had to meet in person. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, it'd be so embarrassing. Yeah.
Right.
Dude,
correct.
Can we have that like once a month? They like a gathering, like a community gathering at a town hall where everybody has to go and read their last 10 tweets.
Right.
Like,
no. Yeah, no. That would change everything. That would be awful. For a lot of people. So not for us because we don't tweet like that, but for a lot of people it would be for sure. Oh man, what a great show, Mav. We killed it. We nailed it again, brother.
Yeah, it was fun.
You came in hot, eating chicken nuggets, and we still got this done. I know. You were the one coming in hot tonight. Normally it's me.
I sat down in my chair literally like 8 minutes before we went live.
Yeah, it was. I said, Mav, send me the link. And he goes, I'm still on my way home. I'm like, oh, damn, that sounds like me usually every week. Good shit. No, we nailed this. Great show. Fantastic. We covered a lot of topics. Chat, you are all amazing. Love the engagement. I'm glad we have this type of crew here, this type of crowd showing up each and every week. I love it. I love seeing the regulars. I love seeing new people. Look, you guys all, like you see me and Mav right here. A lot of times we're just going to be discussing it between him and I, but I love bringing comments in from the crowd as well. It's important. I think when you make a good point in there, we want to bring it up and discuss it if we have time. So thank you all for being engaged throughout this show. Look, PM in the PM, episode 17 is in the books. Mav, let's get you out of here. I know you got still real life stuff going on. I haven't even seen the wife yet. She walked in during the show, so I got to go talk to her and go see how the dogs are doing. But Mav, listen, brother, awesome show. Thank you for all you do behind the scenes. Caitlin, thank you for all that you do behind the scenes as well. You're a part of this. You make all the thumbnails and everything that we put together. You put together a lot of stuff. You've been tweeting it out. Thank you for all that. Appreciate you. But Mav, tell everybody what you got coming up this week, where everybody can find you, and how everybody can subscribe to your channel.
Hey, yeah, do you see that little red button there that says subscribe? You can hit that. You can hit the thumbs up button. And the best way to keep up with content on Fun Speculation is to hit that notification bell, because you'll find out whenever I randomly go live to get slaughtered in Elden Ring over and over and over and over and over again, or play whatever the hottest new game is right then and right there. Play lots of Halo, whatever. Play lots of different games, lots of different genres. I like to play everything that I can. Tune in for those streams, as well as all of our shows that we have almost nightly here on the channel. We got Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night, so I appreciate everybody. Also, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify for audio listeners. I have been really busy, so I've been slacking on getting some of the audio versions up. I'm going to keep trying to do better on that. I got Xbox Ultimates up yesterday. I'm going to try and get PM and the PMs up tomorrow. So appreciate everybody for that. And hey, appreciate everybody who either subscribes to the channel, likes the channel, shares it out to their friends and family, and the weird people that follow them that have those weird usernames on Twitter. And I love all of you. And all the people that joined the channel membership as well. We got over 40 subscribers now that are official speculators, or Fun Speculation. They get to use our fun emojis and have those badges next to your names. You guys are absolutely amazing. Help keep all of our content going here. So appreciate all of you. Now, Mr. Pong Soul.
Yes, sir.
What about you? Where can everybody
Oh,
find
man.
you, sir?
Never know where I'm going to be. Never know where I'm going to show up. So just watch my Twitter. Obviously, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter. You all know the drill there. Like I said, anything comes up during the week, I will tweet it out. I was on GBTB last night, Gaming Beyond the Box last night. That was an awesome time. So please, if you didn't check that out, please go do that. Otherwise, coming up this week, obviously, Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night, like Mav said, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. I shall be there. And then Saturday mornings, living split screen. Split screen is all one word. You like this format here, please start your Saturday mornings off with myself and my brother from another steel rain. Look, we're on mission 1K this year. We want to get to that 1K subscribers. We're doing it au naturel, right? We don't do all these contests. We don't do other content during the week. I know that's the hardest way for the YouTube algorithm. We've got to be putting out content, but look, Steel and I have real lives, okay? Don't have time. I don't have a computer even to be able to put out content. I'd love to. So we're just doing it. One show a week, 3+ hours. Me and my brother from another steel rain. Join us Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Bring a friend. You know the drill. You're going to get great live, raw, and uncut talk there from myself and Steel. Join us. Living Split Screen Saturday morning, Saturday night, the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, our brother, Fuzzy Belvedere, and myself. And this week, PTK has Wilmy Hood coming on the show. That's right, from Gaming Beyond the Box, of course. Please join us Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. It's a great way to end your Saturday night while you're playing Elden Ring. Just have us on in the background. Just nice, smooth, awesome talk. So just join us there. PTK Blam's channel, the Shop. Tuesdays, hopefully this week, I will be back on Xbox Factor Podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick. You guys already know. Mav is there when he can. Archimedes, Boxenberger, as everybody knows him more affectionately. Boxenberger, Mr. Joanna Dark, DJ is now a part of that show, and myself. Again, real life happens. It is a Tuesday, so sometimes I'm not able to be there, but most of the time I am. So Xbox Factor, Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Otherwise, back here next week, PM in the PM, episode 18. It will be fire. I can guarantee you that. Mav and I love talking. So, hey, it's been a great show. It's the golden age of gaming. Spread the word. Enjoy this time.
The golden age.
Stop worrying about fighting. Stop worrying about console wars. Stop worrying about what game looks better than what other game. Stop worrying about all this nonsense. Let nobody steal your excitement for what's going on in this industry right now. Best time ever in history to be a gamer. So enjoy it. Play what you love what you play. I will talk to you all real soon. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you all for being here. Nothing but love and respect for every single one of you gamers. Talk to you later.
Right on, man. I want to get Vic the Click's
yeah.
$5 super
Vic the
chat real
Click showing
quick. He hit us up with the closing of the show super chat. He says, amazing episode, guys. Can't wait to get home and hop on Forza and some mixed drinks. Yeah, dude, enjoy that. Have some. That's the one time it's okay to drink and drive is when you're sitting at home. I was just gonna say it. You're gonna drink, have some drinks, and you can crash into whatever the hell you want to if it's in Forza or Gran Turismo or whatever your racing game.
Back in the day, we used to have a drinking contest with Daytona USA.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Oh yeah, drinking and driving on Daytona.
Did you do
USA.
it at the arcades?
No.
Like Dave and
we had to go home.
Buster's?
No, we did it at home.
Okay.
We did it at home. Yeah.
You didn't. Oh, Uber didn't exist back then, right?
No, Uber did not exist back then. You're correct.
Hey, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.